In a hotel room in North Point, Leo Evans sat chewing on a piece of toast, staring blankly at the wall. Knock, knock, knock. Who is it? Leo dragged himself to the door, his energy levels at an all-time low. Ever since last night, Leo realized he had absolutely nothing to do. Shirokiri had been captured, the town of Bedlam had been blown off the map by Gareth Granger, and his undercover mission had officially concluded. His only remaining hope was the upcoming military war games, which would finally give him a valid excuse to go wreak havoc on the frontier. But the war games were still over 2 weeks away. The thought of being bored for half a month made his skin crawl. Are you Mr. Evans? A man dressed as a hotel bellhop stood at the door, extending a package toward Leo. Your delivery. My delivery? Leo looked confused. He didn't remember ordering anything online. He glanced at the label. The recipient was indeed listed as Leo Evans, and the address was accurate down to the room number. Who dropped this off? Leo asked, eyeing the bellhop. A courier left it at the front desk and asked us to bring it up, the bellhop replied with a polite smile. Leo frowned instantly. A courier? Where is he now? He left as soon as he dropped it off. Is there a problem? No thanks. Leo thanked the man, closed the door, and immediately tore open the box. Inside, he found a small file folder. Is this a letter? Leo's frown deepened as he read the contents. It was a single line of text. The mithril pistol or her. Choose one. Below the text was a photograph. It showed Ava Reed dragging a suitcase, walking into her apartment complex. At the bottom of the page, a logo was stamped in red ink. If one looked closely, the pattern depicted a bird of prey with 9 distinct black feathers. The vulture. A sharp glint of cold fury flashed in Leo's eyes. He pulled out his phone and dialed Ava immediately. A few seconds later, the call connected. Hello, what's up? Hearing Ava's voice, Leo let out a small sigh of relief. You're back in Ethelberg? How did you know? I literally just walked in the door. Leo's eyebrow twitched. She had just arrived, and the photo was already in his hands all the way in North Point. Their efficiency was impressive. It was a waste they weren't working for FedEx. Mr. Reed mentioned it. You done with business in NYC? Don't even start. I haven't even settled the score with you for leaving me there alone for so long. Then come settle it, Leo interrupted. Come to North Point, see me, and come meet my grandfather. On the other end of the line, Ava was stunned into silence. After a long pause, she spoke. So, should I book a flight for a couple of days from now? Not a couple of days. Today. If not today, then tomorrow at the latest. Leo paused, then added, Kane went back to Ethelberg with you, right? Bring him along. Huh, Kane needs to come too. Yeah, my grandpa wants to meet him, Leo lied without skipping a beat. You're acting a little weird. I just miss you. You know what they say, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Leo chuckled. Besides, there's plenty of fun stuff to do in North Point. We can treat it like our honeymoon. Ava's cheeks flushed slightly. Be serious. All right, I'll tell Kane. We'll head out tomorrow. Great. I'll bring 10,000 soldiers to the airport to welcome you. Please don't. Do you want me to die of embarrassment? Then, Ava glanced at the balcony where the cat was lounging. By the way, should I bring Reggie? If this was a honeymoon, leaving Sir Reginald Fluffington alone at home didn't feel right. Meow. Where are we going? Reggie turned his head, a giant question mark practically floating above his ears. That stupid cat is still alive? Leo thought for a moment. If the airline allows pets, bring him. Meow. Adventure. Reggie perked up instantly. Was his ban finally lifted this season? Okay, I'll text you after I book the tickets. Hanging up now. MHM. Waiting for you in North Point. After hanging up, the smile vanished from Leo's face instantly. He immediately dialed Kane. I was just about to call you. I caught the guy who took the photo, but it's useless. He was just a freelancer paid to do a job. Kane sounded baffled. Who exactly did you piss off in North Point, man? Their reach is long enough to have eyes in Ethelberg. Leo's voice dropped an octave, heavy with menace. Before this, I don't know who pissed off whom. But now, they pissed off me. Hearing Leo's tone, Kane sucked in a cold breath. This was the first time he had ever truly felt Leo's rage. Until now, he had always thought the guy was just a happy-go-lucky agent of chaos. Don't worry about Ava. I'm watching her like a hawk. I'll get her to you safely. Thanks. I owe you. I'll get you a nice sniper rifle from the armory later. Please don't steal a sniper rifle. I don't need the military putting a bounty on my head. What are you talking about? My grandpa is the general. Taking a few rifles isn't stealing. Kane's mouth twitched. Was this the arrogance of a military brat? It was enviable. After exchanging a few more words, Leo hung up. He had one more call to make. In this world, daring to target Ava Reed meant provoking two people simultaneously. And both of them were the type you really didn't want to offend. Hello? What is it? Someone is targeting Ava. It's the vulture. Hearing Leo's words, Julian Reed's eyes went instantly cold. Leo gave Julian a brief summary of the situation. Obviously, they want the mithril pistol, so they're using Ava to threaten me. They even sent a threat letter. Leo looked at the paper in his hand. Brother-in-law, what's your play? Julian remained silent for a long moment before speaking slowly. Originally, Sterling was investigating the vulture, and I was just helping out. I didn't have a personal grudge against that organization. But now, I do. The corners of Leo's mouth curled up slightly. So, leave no survivors. Of course, Julian said, his voice terrifyingly calm. None left standing. In the courtyard of Master Silas, Julian Reed made a rare visit to Sterling's room, knocking lightly on the door. Come in. Julian pushed the door open. Sterling looked surprised to see him. Something happened? I need a copy of the intel on the vulture. Sterling was puzzled. What do you need the vulture's file for? I know I asked for your help before, but technically, my feud with the vulture doesn't concern you. That group isn't easy to deal with. Are you sure you want to get involved personally? Hearing this, Julian nodded without hesitation. Before, it might not have been personal, but now, they've come knocking on my door. Julian then explained how the vulture had targeted Ava. Sterling was dumbfounded, threatening Leo. With Ava, Sterling didn't know what to say. He actually felt a strange sense of admiration for whoever came up with this terrible idea. No sarcasm intended. He genuinely admired their courage. They had done something he wouldn't dare do in a million years. Sterling shook his head with a wry smile. I'll compile all the information and get it to you. You? Sterling paused. If you two plan any operations, give me a heads up. I don't want any accidents. He wasn't worried about Julian causing accidents. He was worried about Leo. If the vulture wanted the mithril pistol, they were bound to clash with Leo. Sterling had anticipated that, but he hadn't anticipated they would use Ava as leverage. Now, even Sterling couldn't predict what Leo might do. But one thing Sterling was certain of, the vulture was in big trouble. From what he knew, when Leo Evans got angry, he started using his brain. He stopped being the lazy slacker everyone saw, just like back in Viridian. All right, I'll look into it. If I find anything, I'll let you know. Julian turned and left the room. Next, Julian found Shanequill. Do me a favor. Find Gareth Granger's location. Say what? Shane's jaw dropped, looking incredulous. Me? Find Gareth? Who do you think I am? Cut the crap. I know you have the skills, Julian said indifferently. Dig him out within 2 days, and your debt to me is wiped clean. Shane hesitated, his expression shifting. Well, I can try. But let me say this first. I can't guarantee I'll find him. If you don't find him, pay up, Julian said calmly. Shane's mouth twitched. He took a deep breath and gritted his teeth. Fine, it's a deal. He turned and rushed back into his room, preparing to bundle himself up before heading out. After setting everything in motion, Julian returned to his room. He did nothing but lie quietly on his chair, closing his eyes. It was impossible to tell if he was resting or plotting. North Point Military Base. Marco drove up to the main gate. Since he had been here once before, he only needed to register. I'm here to see Commander Hayes. Dropping something off. We contacted him in advance, Marco said with a smile. We need to inspect it, the guard said seriously. Marco handed over the file folder Sterling had given him. The guard checked it carefully, found nothing dangerous, and waved Marco through. Soon, Marco arrived at Commander Hayes' office. Hello, Commander Hayes. Huh, Mr. Evans. Marco hadn't expected to find Leo sitting in the office as well. Marco, what are you doing here? Leo was surprised. I'm here to deliver something. Marco handed the file to Hayes. Commander, Sterling asked me to give this to you. Good, thank you. Hayes opened the file immediately. Inside was a list. Leo glanced over and saw rows of data and attached photos. What is this? Leo asked. Hayes took a deep breath, looking at the thick stack of papers with a heavy expression. These are all the spies lurking in North Point. What? Leo raised an eyebrow. This many? How'd he find them? Sterling found them. Hayes explained. After we leaked the news about the North Point horde, a lot of outsiders flooded the city. You probably noticed security has been tighter. We sent all the entrant data to Sterling. He screened them one by one to find the anomalies. That resulted in this list. It clearly details where the issues are and what makes each person suspicious. Sterling marked everything. Leo and Marco sucked in a breath. How much work was that? Sterling did all of this alone? What if he caught the wrong people? Leo asked. There are so many. They can't all be spies. What if he made a mistake? We worried about that too. Hayes nodded, but Sterling said, better to catch the wrong person than let one go. Basically, we need to arrest them all first, then interrogate them slowly. Hayes pulled another thick stack of files from a drawer. With Sterling's list and the name Shiro Kiri gave up yesterday. It's enough. Hayes made a decisive call. Summon all officers and captains. We're casting the net. Commander, hold on a sec, Leo interrupted. Let's put the net casting aside. What we were talking about before was the real business. Hayes rolled his eyes. What you were talking about was nonsense. Marco looked curious. What business? I said I wanted to use Shiro Kiri as bait to fish out the vultures people, Leo said, spreading his hands. At least leak the news that Shiro is in our custody. The vulture won't be able to sit still. If I were the vulture's boss, I'd send assassins to silence Shiro immediately so he doesn't spill any secrets. Then we just lay an ambush. Catch one, interrogate one. Use that intel to catch another. Rinse and repeat a few times, and even if they have 99 feathers, we'll pluck them all. Leo's suggestion earned him a face full of dark lines from Commander Hayes. Lay an ambush? Do you think everyone in the vulture is a dumb rabbit? Forget the vulture. Anyone with a brain could see that's a trap. Besides, I've just reported the situation regarding the vulture. Until we get orders from above, we are not to act rashly. Hayes pointed a finger at Leo. Especially you. Behave yourself. The war games are coming up soon. Can you please not cause any more trouble for me? Hayes was truly beginning to feel Leo's chaotic aura. Before Leo came to North Point, the city was peaceful. Now, a small town had literally been blown off the map. Although Leo claimed Gareth Granger did it, anyone with eyes knew Leo was involved. Was it really a coincidence that all the evidence pointed perfectly elsewhere? Ghost might believe it, but Hayes didn't. Commander, what kind of talk is that? Leo looked indignant. Who did I do all this for? Did I do it for myself? No, I did it for the military, for the country. Do you know how dangerous it was when I was undercover in Bedlam? Do you know how tense I was when Gareth was chasing me down to kill me? Do you know? Wait a minute. Hayes interrupted suddenly. What did you just say? Gareth chased you down? When? Why haven't I heard about this? Leo froze. Oops. Slipped up. According to his previous story, on the night Gareth was supposedly chasing him, Leo claimed he was playing at a classmate's house. Marco, didn't you say you needed me for something? Leo quickly pivoted, turned to look at Marco. Marco looked bewildered. How did the conversation shift to him? Before he could speak, Leo draped an arm around his shoulder and steered him toward the door. Let's go. Let's chat somewhere else. Don't disturb the commander's work. Leo, get back here. Leo Evans. Hayes roared. How many things are you hiding from me? Leo pretended to be deaf, dragging Marco away and fleeing the scene, leaving Commander Hayes standing alone in his office, grinding his teeth. Half an hour later, on the drill grounds, all officers and captains were assembled, including Leo. Leo looked awkwardly at Hayes. Whenever Hayes glanced his way, Leo would immediately look up at the sky, avoiding eye contact. Hayes snorted. Business first. He couldn't be bothered to deal with Leo right now. I called you all here for one purpose. Hayes scanned the crowd, then patted the box beside him. This box contains a list of spies lurking in North Point. Once distributed, everyone begins the operation immediately. We must capture every single person on this list today. Not one can slip through the net. If anyone lets one escape, you will face the consequences. Hayes spoke with gravity. Also, after receiving the list, do not tell your squad members the specific details of the mission. Only you need to know, although unlikely, we must prevent leaks. If any squad has an issue, the supervising officer will be punished alongside the captain. Furthermore, during the operation, be careful. Do not alert the enemy, do not cause panic among the citizens, and do not do anything unnecessary. Hayes stared directly at Leo as he said the last part. He trusted the others, but he was terrified Leo would pull some stunt. Leo put on a face of obedient innocence, as if he had no idea Hayes was talking about him. In fact, after Hayes finished speaking, Leo was the first to applaud. Clap, clap, clap. On the massive drill ground, only Leo's slow applause echoed. Everyone looked at him with weird expressions. Hayes' face darkened. This is a military base. I am not giving a speech. You don't need to clap. What was wrong with him? Clapping at such a serious briefing? Leo didn't feel awkward at all. He looked at Hayes with admiration. No, I just think you look so cool when you're serious, Commander. This applause comes from the heart. At that moment, Hayes felt extremely tired. Move out. To be honest, he hadn't wanted Leo to participate in this operation. But thinking about it, Leaving Leo out while everyone else participated would be strange. It's just catching spies. Surely nothing major can go wrong, right? Hayes comforted himself internally. Leo flipped through the list of spies he had been assigned. He raised an eyebrow. Oh, looks like I know one of them. He looked at the information on the list, the corner of his mouth curving up slightly. Name, Warren Wuyugong, identity, spy for the Southern Union hiding place. Warren's Biscuit Shack, East Side Ridge. Leo felt a pang of emotion. He had just eaten the man's biscuits yesterday, and today he had to arrest him. It felt a bit heartless. Captain, what's our mission? Lieutenant, Sarge, Sue, and the others looked at Leo. Due to secrecy, they didn't know the operation was a spy hunt. Leo thought for a moment, then looked at them. Have you guys eaten yet? Huh? Private Cloud blinked. We ate, but we could eat more. Great. Let's go get some biscuits. Leo waved his hand, leading them toward East Side Ridge. Private Cloud and the others were confused. They didn't understand what Leo meant. Looking at the other squads, everyone looked grim and serious. They thought this was a major operation. So, getting biscuits was the mission? Captain, if you're hungry, I know a really good biscuit place. Should we go there? Someone suggested. Leo turned back. Next time. This time, we're going to a place I know. After all, after today, his shop is going out of business. Out of business? The squad was puzzled. Can a biscuit shop just go out of business like that? Are the biscuits that bad? Meanwhile, inside Warren's Biscuit Shack. After the massive explosion last night, Warren had been unable to contact Shiro Kiri. This made him realize Shiro was likely compromised. His own position was no longer safe. He planned to run tonight. To destroy the evidence, he had prepared explosives, intending to blow the shop sky high before he left. On a street in North Point, a figure bundled up so tightly barely any skin showed was wandering aimlessly. Hey buddy, do you know where Gareth Granger is? Shane Quill whispered, grabbing a passerby's sleeve. What? Gareth Granger. The passerby paused, then exploded in rage. If I knew where that bastard was, I'd kill him myself. Shane was stunned. Bro, you got beef with him? Of course. A life-and-death feud. The man shouted. I just bought a new car the day before yesterday. Last night's explosion destroyed it. I hadn't even bought insurance yet. I still have years of car payments. Boo-hoo-hoo. The man started sobbing as he spoke. I've been working like a dog for years, and now this. I don't want to live anymore. Boo-hoo-hoo. Shane was speechless. He just asked a random guy, and it turned into a therapy session. Helplessly, he tried to comfort him. Hey man, look on the bright side. Think about your wife and kids. I don't even have a girlfriend. No car, no house. Who would date me in this economy? The man cried harder. I thought buying the car would help me find someone, but now. Boo-hoo-hoo. Shane's mouth twitched. After offering a few more awkward platitudes, he fled the scene. Damn it. Find Gareth in 2 days? How am I supposed to do that? He muttered to himself. Maybe I should just bail on the debt and run. The thought barely formed before Shane shook his head violently. No, absolutely not. If he ran, he'd offend Julian Reed. That would be genuinely unlucky. Sigh, no choice. Guess I have to cast a divination. Shane pulled a few copper coins from his pocket, tossed them up, and caught them deftly. Huh, this hexagram. Shane looked at the coins, frowning slightly. The primary hexagram is can, water, / danger. The changing hexagram is Jin, mountain / stopping. Can represents north. Jin represents northeast. Wait, this is strange. Really strange. If this reading is correct, Gareth Granger is no longer in North Point. Shane was dumbfounded. If the guy wasn't even in North Point, how the hell was he supposed to find him? More importantly, if he went back and told Julian that, would Julian believe him? Shane hesitated, then decided to cast a reading for himself. The moment he saw the hexagram, Shane turned pale. This is a great calamity reading. A mortal disaster. How can this be? How can this be? According to the coins, within the next few days, he would inevitably face a tribulation. 9 chances of death, 1 chance of life. A way out, right? There has to be a path to survival. Shane hurriedly tossed the coins again, searching for his lifeline. Looking at the scattered coins on the ground, Shane fell into deep thought. East Side Ridge, Warren's Biscuit Shack. Although Warren was still selling biscuits, he looked distracted. Still no news from Shiro. He's definitely done for. I can't wait any longer. Just to be safe, I leave tonight. I have to disappear for a while, ride out the storm, see if the military makes a move. Just as Warren was contemplating his escape, a voice interrupted his thoughts. Boss, buying biscuits. Oh sure, what filling do you want? As soon as Warren finished asking, he froze. It was as if he had been petrified. Leo Evans stood in front of him, looking down at the biscuits. There are a lot of people. I'll take all the biscuits you have. Warren swallowed hard. As a spy, he recognized the man instantly. The great Demon King, Leo Evans. Why is he here? Warren panicked internally. Was it just a coincidence? Boss, are we doing business or not? Seeing Warren motionless, Leo urged him. Pack them up. I've got a whole squad waiting to eat. A whole squad? Warren's heart skipped a beat. He forced a smile. All of them. I have a lot more in the kitchen. Should I bring those out too? Leo nodded. Sure, go get them. All right, wait just a moment. Warren turned and walked into the back room. His face changed instantly. Fortunately, he had dug a tunnel beforehand just for this scenario. But before leaving, Warren glanced to his side at the explosives he had prepared. Yo, you prepared explosives too? How thoughtful. Leo's voice suddenly rang out from behind him. Warren froze, then whipped around. You what? I'm here to collect you. Leo yawned. Come with us, mister. Spy. Warren's heart sank to the bottom of the abyss. Exposed, Warren's eyes darted to the explosives. At this point, mutual destruction was his only option. Getting caught meant death anyway. Better to go out with a bang. Gritting his teeth, Warren pulled a detonator from his pocket. Leo Evans. Let's die together. Warren roared and moved to press the button. But in front of Leo, resistance was futile. Warren felt a sudden, sharp pain in his arm. In the next second, the detonator appeared in Leo's hand. Playing with bombs in front of me? What were you thinking? Leo looked at the device, then asked Warren, Do you know anyone from the Vulture? What Vulture? Never heard of them. Warren clutched his painful arm, gritting his teeth. Leo studied his expression. He didn't seem to be lying. If you don't know, forget it. Let's go. Don't think about suicide. If you die, I won't be able to explain it to the old man. If you want to die, do it after we get back. Just don't die on my watch. With that, Leo pulled out his walkie-talkie and called Sarge Sue and the others into work. Take the guy. Don't forget the biscuits. And move those explosives to the truck. They're ours now. Sarge Sue and the team worked while munching on biscuits. Surprisingly, they tasted pretty good. Meanwhile, across North Point, similar scenes played out. Military personnel in plain clothes were quietly arresting people on the list. In some neighborhoods, a knock on the door would be followed by, Open up, community outreach. We're here to deliver warmth. Several hours later, inside a small house in North Point. Captain, isn't this a bit inappropriate? Sarge Sue and the others looked at the wrecked room and the victim cowering in the corner, shivering. Boo-hoo-hoo. You guys are military, right? I'm a spy. Please arrest me. The man, beaten black and blue, looked at Sarge Sue as if he were a savior. He couldn't take it anymore. He was just eating dinner at home when suddenly his door was kicked open by this pretty boy. Then he was grabbed by the collar and asked if he knew anyone from the Vulture. He didn't know any vultures. He honestly said no. Then Leo started throwing hands, demanding to know why he didn't know them. Boo-hoo-hoo. This is police brutality. I'm going to file a complaint. Spies have human rights too. Sarge Sue and the others looked awkward. This wasn't the first victim. By now, they had realized the operation was a spy hunt. But almost every spy they caught had been beaten up by Leo. They were starting to sympathize with the spies. Human rights? You want human rights? Leo rolled up his sleeves immediately. Come on then. Let's have a private chat about your rights. No. Don't come over here. The man scrambled towards Sarge Sue in terror. Quick, arrest me. I confess. I'll tell you everything. He practically begged Sarge Sue to handcuff him. Leo snorted lightly, too lazy to argue. These days, if you bumped into an old lady on the street, you got sued. And this guy wanted rights? If you were elderly, I wouldn't dare touch you. I'd let Sarge take you to avoid the liability lawsuit. Captain, this is the 8th one. Private Cloud whispered to Leo as Sarge took the man away. Several of the previous ones had strong opinions about our arrest methods. They said they're going to file complaints against you. Complaints? A bunch of spies have a nerve to complain about me. Leo shrugged. It's fine. I'll have another exchange with them later. It'll be fine. Private Cloud hesitated. Captain, just don't kill anyone. It'll be hard to explain. TSK, what kind of person do you think I am? Leo glanced at him. I plan to win them over with virtue. Transform them, you know? Besides, who saw me beat them? Did you see it? Private Cloud froze, then shook his head like a rattle drum. No, I didn't see anything. Exactly. Those injuries are self-inflicted. What does it have to do with us? Leo clapped his hands. Let's go. Next one. Private Cloud watched Leo's back and sighed, feeling a wave of pity for their next target. What kind of bad karma did one have to accumulate in a past life to fall into Leo's hands? As evening approached, the various squads completed their missions, bringing the captives back to base. When Leo's squad returned, everyone stared in shock. Report, Commander. 12 spies, all captured. None missing. Leo stood straight, shouting to Commander Hayes. Behind him, 12 spies, swollen, bruised, and barely recognizable as human. Couldn't even speak. Only pain groans could be heard. Hayes's mouth twitched. What is the situation here? Leo glanced back and said, Oh, during the arrest, they resisted violently. Some even tried to use explosives for mutual destruction. Helplessly, we had to conduct some persuasion and education. Hearing this, the 12 spies widened their swollen eyes, feeling a massive black pot of blame being dumped on their heads. We resisted violently. Who the hell dared to resist you? Maybe Warren wasn't innocent, since he really did try to blow himself up. But the others? They were wronged. Not only were they arrested, they were beaten. Not only were they beaten, they were framed. They wished they were dead. Hayes's face darkened. Everyone else brought back prisoners in one piece. Leo brought back people hanging on by a thread. But at least no major chaos erupted. A blessing in disguise. However, before Hayes could relax, someone ran over carrying a thick stack of papers. Report, Commander. As of just now, we've received numerous complaint letters. Due to the sheer volume, the guard station felt it necessary to report to you. The soldier handed the complaints to Hayes. Hayes's eyes bulged. Why are there so many? What are they complaining about? Report. Most state that our military operation severely impacted their lives, even citing destruction of private property. Hearing this, Hayes immediately glared at Leo. Leo blinked, looking innocent. I told you, they resisted violently. I had no choice. The commotion during the arrest was a bit loud, but that falls under force majeure, right? You can't blame me. Behind him, Sarge Sue and the team kept their heads down, terrified to speak. Hayes didn't know, but they knew perfectly well. Almost every time they caught someone, Leo trashed the suspect's apartment. The neighbors would be crazy not to complain. Hayes trembled with rage. Since becoming commander of North Point, he had never received so many complaints. I shouldn't have let this kid go. He regretted it deeply, but blaming Leo now was pointless, especially since Leo would absolutely deflect the blame. Hayes sighed deeply. Forget it. Hand them over to the interrogation unit. You guys go rest. Hearing this, the 12 spies almost cried tears of joy. Finally, they could leave this demon. However, when they saw the interrogation unit staff greet Leo as Chief Leo, their hearts died completely. This demon is the chief of interrogation? Then why interrogate at all? Just ask whatever you want. We'll tell you everything, even the color of our underwear. Evening. The interrogation unit worked overtime to question the captured spies. Typically, spies had hard bones. Without using certain methods, they wouldn't spill a drop of intel. Of course, there were exceptions. The batch brought in by Leo was the first to confess. In fact, they scrambled over each other to tell everything they knew, terrified that if they spoke too late, someone else would say it first. The interrogation staff had never seen anything like it. At first, they suspected the information might be fake. But then the spies started swearing oaths on the spot. If half a word I say is false, may my entire family die a horrible death. With statements like that, the interrogators were speechless. There was one exception, Warren. Despite being beaten by Leo, he remained silent, refusing to say a word. Those types were the trickiest. But Leo couldn't be bothered. Warren didn't know anyone from the Vulture, so interrogating him was useless to Leo. It was time to clock out. Overtime didn't exist. Only corporate slaves worked overtime. High-level corporate slaves didn't even get overtime pay. Were they supposed to eat grass? Leo whistled a tune as he walked toward the base's main gate. He ran into Nighthawk, who had just returned. Yo, Captain Night, back so late? Catch everyone. Leo greeted him. Hearing the nickname, Nighthawk's mouth twitched slightly. Don't call me that. And where are you going? Going home, Leo said as if it were obvious. It's quitting time. Aren't you clocking out? Clock. Out? Nighthawk and his team blinked at the unfamiliar term. They live on the base. Whenever there was a mission, regardless of the time, they acted. What was this clocking out? All right, can't chat. If I'm late, the Inferno burritos will be sold out. Leo waved and walked away. He had found a food truck near the base selling Inferno burritos, rose-cold noodles. Not bad, though not as good as Ethelberg's. Lacked the taste of home. Pulling out his phone, Leo saw a message from Ava. It was a screenshot of flight ticket. Ava, we arrive in North Point tomorrow. Leo, awesome, received. Ava, what are you doing? Leo, on my way to buy a burrito. Ava, Mr. Evans. Just as he reached the gate, still texting Ava, Leo heard someone calling him. He thought it was Marco, since only Marco called him that. But turning around, he saw a man bundled up in layers, wearing sunglasses, waving frantically at him. The prophet. Leo raised an eyebrow and walked over. You looking for me? Yes, Mr. Evans. Shane Quill nodded furiously. I came specifically to pledge my allegiance to you. Leo. Reason. Birds of a feather flock together. Wise birds choose the best trees to roost in. Speak human. I calculated a bloody calamity for myself. My only path to survival is following you. Shane confessed honestly. To be fair, when he calculated that his lifeline lay with Leo, he refused to believe it. He even cast the reading again. Same result. So, Shane ran to the military base without hesitation, waiting from the afternoon until now to catch Leo coming out. You cast a reading? Leo rolled his eyes. You old fraud. Fooling others is one thing, but fooling yourself? With your half-assed skills, just trick strangers. Don't scam yourself. Oh, Mr. Evans, why don't you believe me? Shane got anxious. I genuinely calculated it. I walked the Jianghu for years and never scammed anyone. Leo looked at him silently. Never scammed anyone? Then please tell me. Why are you wrapped up like a mummy right now? Shane fell silent. He wanted to say it was freedom of dress, but he feared Leo would walk away and cut off his lifeline. Mr. Evans, I beg you. I, Shane Quill, have never begged anyone in my life. This is the first time. Just help me out. Let me stick with you. Leo scoffed. Get out of here. If this is your first time begging, I'll eat my shoe. You have enemies everywhere in North Point. If I take a magnet for trouble like you, how am I supposed to live peacefully? Besides, my wife is coming tomorrow. I'm waiting to go on my honeymoon. Bringing you along? What's that about? Can I be your son? Shane looked imploring. Living dad, I beg you. That sentence stopped Leo in his tracks. Leo stared blankly at Shane for a long time, unable to react. There existed someone in this world who could bend and stretch to this degree. Shane Quill, you. Leo opened his mouth, but couldn't find the words. This guy really had something. He might be the only person who could render Leo Evans speechless. Mr. Evans, I've said this much. Just take me in. Shane cried, snot and tears flowing. I swear I'll behave. I won't cause trouble. Leo looked around with a dark face. Although it was the base gate and sparse, Shane was attracting attention. It looked like a child throwing a tantrum in a mall for a toy. Fine, fine. Put that face away. Leo sighed helplessly. I'm telling you now, the moment you cause trouble, you're gone. Yes, sir. Shane immediately retracted his expression, smiling obsequiously. But Mr. Evans, there's one small tiny thing I might need you to do. Shane then explained the task Julian had given him. He couldn't fulfill it, so he needed Leo to put in a good word. Gareth isn't in North Point? You calculated that. Of course. 100% true. Leo's mouth twitched. He couldn't help but ask, Prophet, are you actually good at scamming people, or are you actually good at fortune-telling? Hearing this, Shane smiled mysteriously, leaning into Leo's ear. Mr. Evans, to be honest, I could do both. As the saying goes, heaven's secrets cannot be leaked. The secrets I can't leak, I choose to bullshit my way through. Leo's eye twitched. So how many secrets can be leaked? Shane smiled slightly. Almost none. So it's pure bullshit then. Leo felt for the first time that he had met someone more abstract than himself. Gareth isn't in North Point? Hearing this news, Julian Reed frowned slightly into the phone. Did Shane tell you this? Yeah. Leo nodded, glancing to the side. He's right next to me. Shane smiled awkwardly, rubbing his hands together like a fly. The two were currently standing in front of the Inferno burrito stall, waiting for the owner to cook. Leo then told Julian about Shane's situation and the news that Ava was arriving tomorrow. On the other end, Julian pondered for a moment. Handle Shane however you see fit. Tell him, even if he didn't find the person, the debt he owes me still stands. Okay. Leo hung up and turned naturally to Shane. Julian said the debt you owe him, you have to pay me back double. Huh? Shane was stunned. He really said that. You don't believe me? Want to call him yourself? Never mind. Shane didn't dare face Julian right now. But paying Leo double. That didn't sound reasonable. Mr. Evans, you wouldn't be looting a burning house, would you? Shane asked cautiously. Leo glanced at him indifferently. My bad. I remember wrong. I think he said triple. F. Shane realized instantly Leo was robbing him. If he didn't agree, this guy would kick him out in a heartbeat. Damn it. Is this divination accurate or not? Shane began to doubt his abilities. He wished desperately he had calculated wrong and his lifeline wasn't with Leo. Sadly, he had checked twice. Same result. Under the eaves, one must bow one's head. Shane smiled painfully. Triple. Triple it is. Money was just a worldly possession. His life was what mattered. Leo nodded, accepting the burrito from the vendor. While paying, Leo asked, Boss, do you know where there's a florist nearby? Florist. There's one to the east, but I don't know if it's open. The vendor laughed. It's called Louis' Floral Studio. Whether he opens is entirely up to fate. Depends on your luck. Louis' Floral Studio. Leo muttered. Thanks, I'll check it out. He led Shane toward the east. Mr. Evans, what do you need a florist for? Shane asked curiously. Leo glanced at him. You're so good at calculating. Why ask me? Just divine it. Shane didn't know what to say. Just because he could divine didn't mean he did it for everything. You know how to eat? Do you eat 24/7? Of course, Shane didn't dare say that. Soon, walking along the street, they saw a dimly lit sign ahead. Louis' Floral Studio. Yo, looks like good luck. Leo raised an eyebrow and walked in. Stepping inside, seeing no one, Leo called out, Anyone here? Yes. A voice came from the back. Leo found it familiar. Soon, a figure walked out. Hello, what kind of flowers? Louis stopped mid-sentence, staring at Leo in disbelief. What the hell are you doing here? Leo was equally dumbfounded. You the boss here? A traitor/double agent, instead of playing infernal affairs, ran off to open a flower shop? Louis was just as shocked. A great demon king, instead of being a chaos agent out there, came here to buy flowers? They stared at each other for a long while before Leo spoke slowly. Are the flowers here? Legit. Louis' face darkened. I haven't settled the score for you stabbing me in the back yet. Watch your mouth. Leo looked at him. What kind of flowers do you have? Everything. Do you have popcorn? Turn left. Find the old man wearing a hat. He sells popcorn. Louis scowled. Are you buying or not? Don't waste my time. Buying. Leo grumbled. Give me some roses. Why the hell didn't you say roses earlier? Louis snapped. How many? 99,999. Turn left, find the popcorn guy. Louis was about to reach for the roses, but stopped. 10,000 roses? This is a floral studio, not a flower ocean. Do you want to drown in petals? Leo looked at Louis with disdain. Why do you keep sending me to the popcorn guy? Is he your relative? Louis took a deep breath, exercising patience. Maximum 99. No more. Shane secretly gave Louis a thumbs up. What a temper. To endure this. 99, huh? Leo thought for a moment. Fine. Too many would be hard to carry anyway. 99 it is. Louis' mouth twitched. Now you realize it's hard to carry? Where was your brain before? To get rid of this plague quickly, Louis started counting roses. Meanwhile, Leo looked around the shop. It was bigger than he expected. Warm yellow lights, scattered terracotta pots, even small night lights dotting the place. Very atmospheric. You really opened this place? Leo couldn't help asking. He didn't think Louis was the type to create such a vibe. Louis paused, then said faintly, It's mine, but not entirely mine. He handed the wrapped roses to Leo. $9,999. Go rob a bank. Leo's eyes widened. For a few flowers, you want 10 grand? Take it or leave it. Louis pulled the flowers back, speaking sarcastically. I'll just tell your wife later that you couldn't bear to spend 10 grand on her. Threat. Naked threat. Leo smiled disdainfully. This little trick? He calmly pulled a bank card from his pocket and handed it to Louis elegantly. Boss, swipe it. Louis took the card with a smile, handing over the flowers. Certainly, sir. Louis took the bank card Leo handed him. As he swiped it, he asked Leo to enter the PIN. What PIN? Leo stood there, blinking. I don't know the PIN. Louis. He exploded in rage. It's your card. You don't know the PIN? Why are you yelling? Leo yelled back. Who told you it was my card? Then where did it come from? I found it. You found. Louis was speechless. Leo then pulled out several more bank cards from his pocket and tossed them to Louis. Here, I found all of these. They're yours. Louis and Shane stared at the cards in silence. Just then, Leo's phone rang. It was Commander Hayes. As soon as he answered, Hayes' roar came through. Leo Evans, did you steal those spies' bank cards? Aside from you, no one else would do something like this. Bring them back. Now. Immediately. Leo held the phone away from his ear, picked at it with his pinky, and said, Commander, even you need evidence to speak, right? You trust the word of spies? Which I saw me take their stuff. Besides, it's off-duty hours. If this is official business, let's talk tomorrow during working hours. Hayes listened to Leo's nonsense, stunned for a moment, then raged. Lao, you. Beep, beep, beep. Lao Hung. Louis and Shane stared at him, unblinking. What? Leo looked innocent, spreading his hands. I can swear. I really didn't take their stuff. Then what's with the pile of cards in your hand? Louis asked dryly. They voluntarily gave them to me. Leo said righteously. In the great nation of America, a gift given is water spilled. No takebacks. Louis and Shane were speechless. This is technically illicit money, right? Louis said. If you insist on calling it illicit, aren't you holding one too? Leo pointed to the card in Louis's hand. Louis realized and immediately moved to throw the card back at Leo. But when he looked up, Leo was gone. The guy had grabbed the roses and bolted. Seeing Leo run, Shane wasn't about to be left behind. He sprinted away just as fast. Louis cursed out loud. He had never seen someone so shameless. He'd heard of dine and dash, but never flower and dash. Actually, if Louis had charged a normal price, everything would have been fine. But he had to ask for 10 grand. Would Leo Evans tolerate that? If he paid that 10 grand, how could the great Demon King show his face in North Point? Louis took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. Calm down. He's just a brat. Don't lower yourself to his level. Yo, boss. Rarely see you open. At that moment, a man looking like a nouveau riche walked in. He immediately spotted the white bellflowers by the window. What's that flower? Looks nice. How much? Louis glanced at it and said coolly, not for sale. Why not? I really like it. The rich guy flashed his wealth. I'll pay extra. Name your price. He was chasing a girl recently and wanted to impress her. Fine. $100 million. Louis said nonchalantly. Okay. Wait, how much? The man's eyes widened. For a few broken flowers, you want $100 million. Hearing this, Louis's eyes turned dangerous. What did you say? Broken flowers? What about it? The man saw Louis approaching step by step and panicked. I'm warning you, don't try anything. This is a lawful society, no violence allowed. Louis ignored him, walking straight past to lock the front door. It doesn't matter. Louis turned back, looking at the man with malicious intent. I'm not exactly a good person anyway. He was already furious because of Leo. This guy arrived just in time. Soon, the floral studio echoed with screams like a pig being slaughtered. The next morning, Leo woke up early, preparing to go to the airport to pick up Ava. Although Ava wouldn't arrive until noon, he had to go scout the airport first. Since the vulture had targeted Ava, they would likely make a move at the airport. Better not let me catch them, Leo whispered. If they dared touch Ava at the airport, things would get ugly. Adrian, what's the situation? Adrian put down his toast. Everything at the airport is under my control. If there's any anomaly, I'll notify you immediately. Okay, I'm counting on you. Leo nodded, preparing to leave. Wait, Adrian stopped him. Who else is coming besides Ava? Kane, you've met him. Anyone else? No? Maybe a cat. Hearing this, disappointment flashed in Adrian's eyes. All right, got it. Leo felt the guy was being weird. Mr. Evans, wait for me. Shane ran out of his room, smiling fawningly. Picking up Miss Reed is such an important event. How can you do it without me? Last night, Shane had followed them to the hotel. Thankfully, there was a spare room, or he would have slept on the sofa. Adrian glanced at Shane, rolling his eyes at the sycophantic behavior. You're coming too? Phoenix. Leo grabbed the roses and led Shane to the hotel entrance. Beep beep, a horn sounded. Leo looked over to see a black sedan parked on the curb. The rear window rolled down, revealing Julian Reed's face. Shane froze on the spot, as if struck by lightning. Marco, acting as the driver, smiled and waved at Leo. Get in, Julian said calmly. Leo pulled Shane into the car, sitting in the back with Julian. Julian looked at the roses in Leo's arms and frowned. For Ava? Yeah, why so few? The shop only sold 99. What could I do? Julian turned his head away, speaking faintly. Next time, find a different shop. Above the azure sky, a plane flying from Ethelberg to North Point was cruising in the troposphere, 10,000 meters up. Ladies and gentlemen, the aircraft is beginning its descent. Please return to your seats, fasten your seatbelts, and stow your tray tables. As the announcement played, Ava Reed opened her eyes groggily. Almost there. She looked out the window, seeing only a vast expanse of white, and lost interest. Checking her phone, she saw it would be another half hour. I can sleep for another 30 minutes. Ava closed her eyes again and drifted off. She didn't notice that in a seat behind her, a pair of eyes was staring at her intently. Meanwhile, North Point Airport. Hey, look over there. So handsome. I heard airports have hot guys. They weren't lying. Those two really hit the spot. Sister, what are you waiting for? Go get their numbers. Didn't you see the roses? He's definitely taken. What about the other one? That my type. TSK. What if they're a couple? That would be a tragic loss. Two handsome guys taken off the market by each other. Leo's hearing was better than Julian's. He heard every word. Disgusted, he He moved a few steps away from Julian. What? Julian was puzzled. Why are you standing so far away? I'm afraid of being misunderstood. Leo realized holding roses next to Julian might be a bit high profile. They arrived at the arrival gate. Leo scanned the crowd, eyeing everyone. TSK, Julian, think the vulture will show up? Julian raised an eyebrow. You used to call me Big Brother. That was then, this is now. Leo looked at him with disdain. Living in the past prevents progress. Julian shook his head, ignoring him. The vulture should make a move, but I judge it won't be any high-level figures. Anyway, if things get dangerous later, protect Ava first. Don't worry about me. Leo glanced at him. Relax. Even if you die, Ava won't lose a single hair. Julian looked back at him. Since when is she your Ava? Since the day we got the marriage license. Just missing the formal wedding. Really? I recall you married into the Reed family. Leo raised an eyebrow. Julian, chatting like this is boring. Julian said calmly. I haven't accepted the dowry yet. I'll talk to Mr. Reed about that. He can't make the final call. Then Mrs. Reed. She only cares that you two are married. She ignores the rest. Their tone was neither happy nor sad, but clearly, both were being petty. It was one step away from asking Ava, if we both fell into the water, who would you save first? Just then, Leo's phone rang. He looked at the screen, smiled triumphantly, and waved the phone in front of Julian's face. See? The moment Ava landed, she called me. Julian glanced at it and said faintly, childish. Leo answered the call. Hello, Leo, I landed. MHM, waiting for you at the gate. Okay, Kane and I are waiting for luggage. We'll be out soon. Ava talked on the phone while holding a specialized pet carrier backpack. Inside, Reggie Fugue looked miserable. Meow. Ugh. No one told him flying would be this awful. He should have stayed home. Ava chatted with Leo while waiting for the bags. Kane stood beside her, eyes scanning the surroundings vigilantly. If he saw anyone suspicious, he kept his eyes on them longer. Just get Ava to Leo, and I can relax, Kane thought. He hadn't dared to lose focus the whole trip. Before boarding, everyone went through security, so it was unlikely anyone had weapons here. However, just then, a man dressed as airport security walked toward Kane and Ava. Hello, excuse me. Someone just found a lost ID. Could you check if it belongs to either of you? The security guard pulled out an ID card and handed it to them. Kane glanced at it and shook his head. It's not ours. Shing! Before he could finish, the guard's face changed instantly. A dagger appeared in his hand, thrusting toward Ava. Bad. Kane's eyes went wide. He had been careless. He hadn't expected even airport security to be infiltrated. Too late. Kane watched the dagger lunging at Ava, despair washing over his face. He could only scream, Leo. He hoped Leo on the other end of the phone would hear his cry and rush over. But obviously that was impossible. Even with Leo's speed, he couldn't make it in time. Ava was still on the phone, frozen by the sudden assassination attempt. Snap! Suddenly, a large hand grabbed the wrist holding the dagger. What do you think you're doing? A voice rang out. A man in a black trench coat, looking slightly weathered, frowned at the security guard with displeasure. Since when did North Point security become this lax? The security guard stared at the man in disbelief. This face matched the intel in his memory perfectly. He identified the man instantly. Woo, Meltovu. How can you be here? You should be at the frontier. Hearing this, Sergeant Mad Dog Wu's eyes flashed with sharpness. Oh, you know me? Interesting. Seems you're not just a nobody. I caught a big fish as soon as I arrived in North Point. Lucky me. As Wu spoke, another figure suddenly sprang from behind Ava. Wu glanced over, preparing to act. Suddenly, a blur arrived like lightning, grabbing the attacker's face and smashing it into the floor. Bang! A loud noise echoed, cracking the floor tiles. Leo stood over the man on the ground, speaking word by word. The vulture. Do you really think I don't have a temper? North Point Airport, baggage claim. People nearby whispered in shock. Holy crap! What's happening? Are they filming a movie? Who films this realistically? Didn't you see that guy on the ground? He looks half dead. What exactly is going on? Can someone explain? They dare beat up airport security? Are these two crazy? I saw the whole thing. Bro, I advise you stay back. This isn't something we can get involved in. She'll look, people are coming. Because of the massive commotion, a swarm of actual airport security guards ran toward Leo's group. Kane immediately tensed up. Who knew if these people were also vulture agents? Stomp, stomp, stomp. Hands up. Crouch down with your hands on your heads. They drew their guns, aiming at Leo and the others. Leo slowly looked up, locking eyes with the guard aiming at him. Mad Dog Wu frowned, intending to pull out his badge to avoid unnecessary trouble. But before he could move, Leo turned into a blur, rushing toward the guards. Wu's eyes widened. Zulfust. Who is this guy? Before the thought finished, the security guards were instantly knocked to the ground by Leo. Leo snatched a gun from one of them, then pointed it at the vulture assassin lying on the floor. Besides you, is there anyone else? The man was barely breathing. Looking at the dark muzzle, he opened his mouth to speak but couldn't make a sound. Leo felt a tap on his back. Turning around, he saw Ava. She rolled her eyes at him. You beat him up like that. How is he supposed to answer you? Leo exhaled. Guess we have to take him back to the base first. Hearing this, Mad Dog Wu spoke up immediately. Base, you're with the North Point military. Leo looked at Wu and smiled. Yeah, thanks, buddy. If not for you, my wife would have been in danger. Ava also thanked Wu. Small matter. Wu looked at Leo with interest. But since when did North Point have a character like you? I just arrived recently. Just a nobody, Leo said, scratching his head with a simple, honest smile. No. With those skills, you're no nobody. You flatter me, big brother. Kane looked at them with dark lines on his forehead. You two are chatting. Can you act according to the situation? A pile of guard was groaning on the floor, one guy was dying, and the other assassin was currently having his hand crushed by Wu. Almost forgot business. Wu turned to look at the first assassin who tried to stab Ava. You're Vulture. The man looked at Wu without saying a word. Suddenly, black blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. Wu realized something was wrong. Suicide. He let go. The man went limp, falling to the ground dead. Wu looked apologetic. My bad. Didn't pay attention. He killed himself. It's fine, Leo said, his voice low. There are plenty of vultures. We'll just catch more. Suddenly, Ava rolled her eyes at him and leaned close to his ear. A scent of perfume wafted over. Leo raised an eyebrow. Not good etiquette in public, right? A kiss? Instead, Ava whispered, Leo Evans, you liar. You said it was a honeymoon. Just wait until we get back. After this incident, Ava realized Leo's excuse to bring her to North Point was fake. Leo's mouth twitched. His rage toward the vulture increased another notch. Meanwhile, a man had died in public. The crowd was terrified. Fortunately, the military garrison stationed at the airport arrived. While calming the crowd and securing the scene, they checked Leo's group's IDs. When Wu showed his ID, the officer's face changed drastically. This is Special Operative ID. He stood at attention, saluting Wu. Sir. Wu waved his hand, taking back the ID. Enemies have infiltrated airport security. This is serious. Investigate strictly. Yes. We will screen everyone internally immediately. The officer then turned to Ava and Kane. We apologize. This was our dereliction of duty. If not for Officer Wu, it would have been a disaster. Kane nodded. True. If not for Wu, Ava would have been in danger. And if Ava got hurt, Leo might have flipped the entire city of North Point upside down. Next, Leo showed his ID, which he had received recently. You're the new captain. The officer looked at Leo curiously. I've heard them talk about you. Finally seeing the real person. Talk about me? Leo raised a brow. What did they say? They said, ever since you became captain, the atmosphere at the base has become strange. The officer laughed awkwardly. But I'm stationed here at the airport, so I wouldn't know. Maybe it's just rumors. Behind him, Ava and Kane shook their heads. Definitely not rumors. Even having just arrived, they could bet the base had been led astray by Leo. New captain. Wu looked at Leo, surprised. So young? Promising youth. You're too kind, big brother. Just luck, Leo laughed innocently. Just then, Julian ran over, out of breath. Brother, Ava, are you okay? Julian looked at Ava with concern. When Leo threw the roses and bolted, Julian knew something was wrong. But he wasn't as fast as Leo. I'm fine. Ava looked at Julian worriedly. I think you need a rest. She remembered Julian used to be fit. Why did he seem so out of shape now? After learning what happened, Julian shook Wu's hand solemnly. Officer Wu, thank you for saving my sister. I, Julian Reed, owe you a favor. Wu waved his hands repeatedly. No, just lifting a finger. At the same time, he felt a strange sensation in his heart. Saving this girl felt like a very significant event. Because of the unexpected chaos earlier, the military personnel personally escorted Ava, Leo, and the others out of the airport. It seemed the Vulture hadn't arranged any backup assassins. Or perhaps, seeing the failure of the first two, the rest realized the situation was foobar and bailed. Regardless, Leo Evans and Ava Reed had finally, successfully reunited. Shame about these roses. Leo looked at the bouquet in his hand, feeling a pang of regret. I threw them too hard, lost a lot of petals. Ava glanced at him, smiled, and reached out to take the flowers. She held them to her chest, gently inhaling their scent. For the sake of these flowers, I won't hold it against you that you lied to me. It seemed to be the first time Leo had actually given her roses. Although neither of them cared much for ceremonial gestures, holding the flowers clearly made the young Miss Reed happy. As for Sergeant Mad Dog Wu, he claimed he had business and left first. Mr. Evans, Miss Ava. Marco pulled the car around, waving happily at the two of them. Kane froze for a moment. Just one car? How are we all going to fit? As soon as he spoke, a black SUV drove up from nearby and stopped in front of them. The window rolled down, and the driver turned out to be Master Silas. Just in case, I had him find a sniper spot outside and wait, Julian Reed explained. But I didn't expect the Vulture's people to make their move inside. Silas rolled his eyes. You have the nerve to say that? I was holding my bladder for hours, didn't dare move a muscle, and nothing happened out here. Julian, I think you just brought me along to be your chauffeur, didn't you? Julian nodded. That was part of the calculation. Silas was momentarily speechless. Ava, get in. You're staying at my place, Julian said. Hold on. Why should she stay with you? Leo wasn't having it. My hotel is right near the military base. That's the safest spot. Seeing the two about to start an argument, Kane meekly interjected. We booked a hotel before we came. Cancel it, Leo and Julian said in unison. Ava frowned. Rock, paper, scissors. That's fair. No, Julian said flatly. I'm afraid he'll cheat. Leo scoffed. What kind of person do you take me for? I have never cheated in my life. Seeing this, Ava sighed. Let's just get in the car first. So Leo, Julian, and Ava got into Marco's car. Kane and Shane Quill got into Silas's car. After a fierce debate on the road, it was finally decided that Ava would stay at Leo's place. Meow. I want tuna treats. Reggie was liberated from the cat carrier and immediately climbed onto Leo's head. Leo's face darkened. Stupid cat. Do you not know how fat you are? You think you're still a kitten? Meow. I want tuna treats. Where am I supposed to get you tuna treats right now? Meow. I want tuna treats. Leo felt mentally exhausted. Are you a broken record? A few minutes later, Adrian, far away in a hotel, looked at the message on his phone and fell into deep thought. Leo, buy me some tuna treats. Thanks, Adrian. Meanwhile, a taxi arrived at the main gate of the North Point military base. Mad Dog Wu stepped out of the car. After observing the surroundings, he grabbed his suitcase and walked toward the entrance. Halt! Please show your ID. Wu handed over his credentials and said, I'm here to see Commander Hayes. The guard looked at the ID and immediately snapped a salute. Please wait a moment. He immediately called Commander Hayes. What did you say? Special operative clearance? Commander Hayes, who was sitting in his office, stood up abruptly. What's his name? It says, Wu Urgu. Mad Dog Wu. What? Hayes was shaken. Headquarters actually sent Mad Dog from the frontier? Hold him there. I'm coming right now. Hayes hung up, rushed out the door, and jumped into a vehicle. 2 minutes later, he arrived at the main gate. The guard watched in secret shock. Who is this guy that the commander came out personally to welcome him? Special operative. He had only heard rumors. Across the entire frontier, only 5 people held that clearance. Holding a special operative badge meant that in any military zone, you held rank equal to the commander. But looking at the situation, this wasn't just equal rank. Hayes didn't dare show even a hint of arrogance. Operative Wu, hello. I didn't expect headquarters to send you. Hayes walked up enthusiastically and shook Wu's hand. I'm the commander of the North Point Military District, Commander Hayes. Commander Hayes, hello. Wu smiled. Headquarters takes the Vulture situation very seriously, so they sent me. Also, I have other missions. Otherwise, I might not have been able to leave the frontier. Hayes' heart skipped a beat. He lowered his voice. Don't tell me. It's for the qualifiers. Wu smiled slightly. Commander, shall we talk somewhere else? Oh, right. This isn't the place. Hayes slapped his forehead, quickly ushered Wu into the car, and drove him into the base. On the other side of town, Leo and the group arrived at the hotel. Ava canceled her original booking and booked a room at Leo's hotel. Kane naturally bunked with Shane Quill and the others. After helping Ava move her luggage into the room, Leo looked sideways at Julian. Do you have anything else? Julian frowned. Trying to chase me away? Ava is safe now. If you don't leave, are you planning to move in here? Leo said nonchalantly. Ava just booked the last room. If you want to stay, there's no room for you. Julian glanced at him, then said goodbye to Ava and went downstairs to leave. He did, in fact, have things to do. After watching Julian leave, Ava looked at Leo. What are you standing there for? I need a rest. Click. Leo shut the door, then scooped Ava up into a princess carry and walked toward the bedroom. Leo, what are you doing? You said it. We need to rest. I said I, not we. You remembered wrong. You definitely said we. MMPH. On the balcony, Reggie hugged the tuna treats Adrian had bought, munching away while watching the two humans disappear into the bedroom. A short while later, strange sounds began to drift from the room. 2 hours later, Ava, wearing a bathrobe, sat on the edge of the bed, her cheeks still flushed. It seemed she had just come out of the shower. Stand up straight. She looked at Leo with feigned anger. I haven't settled the score with you yet, and you're already getting handsy. Leo leaned against the wall, looking innocent. Didn't you say that since you accepted my roses, you wouldn't hold it against me? I was talking about you lying to me about the honeymoon. Ava raised her voice. Leaving me alone in NYC. I still need to settle that account with you. I am innocent, Ava. Leo responded without thinking. Uncle Anthony made me do it. My dad. Ava paused. Seizing the opportunity, Leo quickly added, yeah, after I finish things here, I said I want to bring you over for a few days. But Uncle Anthony told me North Point was too dangerous and forbade me from bringing you. He even warned me that if I didn't listen, he'd force you to divorce me. Boo-hoo-hoo. By this point, Leo was practically shedding crocodile tears. A true veteran actor. Ava looked at him suspiciously. You wouldn't be trying to frame my dad, would you? How is that possible? Leo's expression changed instantly. Ava, what kind of person do you think I am? That's my great father-in-law. How could I do something so unfilial? Anyway, he's not my biological dad, Leo added silently in his heart. Leo tried to lean in, hug Ava, and deploy his ultimate weapon, shameless charm. However, before he could even touch her hand, Ava shouted, Stand still. Leo obediently went back to standing against the wall. Just then, Ava's stomach growled loudly. She realized she hadn't eaten anything yet. She had woken up early to catch the flight, slept through the flight, and barely ate. She had planned to grab a bite upon arriving in North Point, but then Leo had dragged her into a 2-hour exercise session. Now she was starving. She glared at Leo. I'll deal with you later. Leo flashed his pearly whites. I know a place with great inferno burritos. I don't want burritos. Ava rejected immediately. I searched before I came. There are lots of good places to eat in North Point. Mid-sentence, she paused and looked at Leo. Maybe. We should just order DoorDash. Targeted by the vulture, going out to shop seemed risky. Leo shook his head. Hiding isn't the solution. If they dare to show their faces, I'll delete them instantly. Ava rolled her eyes and muttered. Why didn't you delete them earlier? What did you say, Ava? Nothing. Get out, I need to change. Leo stood still, unmoving. Ava sighed and had to take her clothes out of the suitcase right in front of him. As soon as the bathrobe slipped off, Leo grew restless. But seeing the murderous look in Ava's eyes, he restrained himself. Ava quickly dressed in front of him. A sweatshirt, a cream-colored coat, and black tights. Leo sometimes admired his own willpower to endure this. He was destined for great things. Soon, the dressed couple walked out of the room and looked at Reggie on the balcony. Stupid cat, want to go out? Leo shouted. Reggie lay lazily in the sun, tuna treats beside him, yawning when sleepy, snacking when hungry. A life without regrets. Meow. I'm not going. Suit yourself. Saves you being a third wheel. Leo took Ava's hand, ready for their date. But a much larger third wheel was already waiting at the door. Mr. Evans, where are you going? I'll accompany you. Shane Quill stood at the door, rubbing his hands together like a fly. Ava tilted her head and looked at Leo. Leo's face darkened. Can't you just stay in the hotel? Leo groaned. Do you have to follow me? Well, I have no choice, Shane said with a bitter smile. Who knew when that bloody calamity he predicted would strike? If it happened while Leo wasn't around, he was screwed. If conditions allowed, he would have slept in the same bed as Leo. Fine, Leo said helplessly. You can follow, but keep your distance. Don't disturb us. He led Ava out of the hotel. Ava glanced back and saw Shane following them, wrapped up tight in layers of clothing. Isn't he hot? Who is he? Ava asked. A master scammer. Says he predicted a bloody disaster for himself and insists on following me, Leo said, looking pained. I blame my overwhelming charisma. I attract all sorts. Ava rolled her eyes. The guy was as narcissistic as ever. By the way, should I visit your grandfather first? Let's eat first. The military base is busy lately. He probably doesn't have time. Okay, I'll buy some gifts and go in a couple of days. I want hot pot. I heard northern hot pot is different from the south. I haven't had it either, but I know they don't do spicy. They strolled like a normal couple, Ava linking arms with Leo, chattering away. Behind them, Shane Quill pulled a stale bagel from his pocket, took a few bites, and looked at their backs with envy. He wanted hot pot too, but he had no money. Meanwhile, at the junction of North Point and the frontier, two figures stood atop a high mountain, looking down. Is this the place? Gareth Granger asked indifferently. Correct. Ninetails nodded. This is where the qualifiers will take place. 27 teams, over 300 people, will enter this zone. Leo Evans will be no exception. Hearing Leo's name, Gareth clenched his fist. Remembering his ruined reputation in North Point, his hatred burned hotter. Angry, Ninetails asked. Good. Remember that feeling. Take that anger and kill Leo Evans. Gareth took a deep breath, looked at the expanse before him, and slowly said, let's do it. Leo and Ava wandered the streets of North Point, enjoying the rare leisure time. Leo's hands were currently overflowing with food. Bolbatea, corn dogs, sliters. Ava would take a bite and then dump the rest on Leo. Shane Quill, following a short distance behind, watched with drool practically dripping from his mouth. Little miss, if you can't finish it, give it to me. Don't you know who really needs this food? Shane chewed on his dry bagel, tears of unworthiness streaming down his face. Suddenly, someone tapped his shoulder. He turned to find two police officers eyeing him sternly. Sir, we received a report of suspicious behavior. We need to check your ID. The officer extended a hand. Please cooperate. Shane stood frozen, his bagel dropping to the ground with a tragic thud. Let's do this one. I'm tired of walking, Ava said, looking at a hot pot restaurant. Leo looked up at the sign. Eat, or don't. Hot pot. Is this place run by Dylan Miller's family? Leo's mouth twitched. The name was suspiciously similar to the barbecue joint Dylan's family ran in Ethelberg. Did that guy expand a franchise to North Point? But he soon realized he was overthinking it. The name was just a coincidence. However, an even more absurd coincidence occurred. Why the hell are you here? Why is it you again? Leo and Louis stared at each other in shock, speaking simultaneously. Ava looked suspiciously between them. They know each other? Aren't you a florist? Who says a florist can't run a hot pot restaurant? Dude, how many jobs do you have? None of your business. I own half of North Point, believe it or not. Leo's mouth twitched again. He turned to Ava. Ava, let's swap places. I feel like this hot pot place isn't legit. Louis' face darkened. Could you maybe say that behind my back? Ava looked at Leo, then at Louis. We're eating here. I can't walk another step. Leo had no choice but to follow Ava to a table and sit down. He knocked on the table. Boss. Menu. Terrible service. Believe it or not, I'll leave a bad review online. Louis, a toothpick in his mouth, scoffed. Go ahead. I have plenty of bad reviews. One more won't hurt. Seeing Louis personally bring the menu, Leo said, No way. You don't even have a waiter? It's early. Staff isn't here yet, Louis grumbled. If I knew you were coming, I would have given them the day off and closed up shop. He turned his gaze to Ava. Girlfriend? Leo beamed with pride. Wife. We got the license. Married to you? Brave girl, Louis remarked. Leo scowled. What's that supposed to mean? Soon, Ava ordered a mountain of food. Even if she couldn't finish it, Leo was a human garbage disposal, so it wasn't an issue. Louis took the menu. You guys are lucky. I'll prep it myself. Maybe we should wait for the chef. Leo looked concerned. Louis pretended not to hear and walked straight to the kitchen. Just then, a figure burst into the shop. Upon seeing Leo, Shane Quill wept snot and tears. Mr. Evans, you almost lost me. You know that. Leo scared. You found me even here? Ava smiled at Shane. Want to eat with us? In Shane's eyes, Ava instantly transformed into an angel. Is that appropriate? Shane asked shyly. Ava nodded. If it's not appropriate, then never mind. Shane froze. That caught him off guard. Any normal person would realize he was just being polite, right? Then again, Shane thought anyone sharing a bed with Leo Evans can't be normal. So, Shane stood by the side, staring at Leo without moving. Leo couldn't stand the gaze anymore and asked Louis to set up another table, specifically placing Shane at the table farthest away from them. Thank you, Mr. Evans, Shane shouted. Soon, Louis brought out the hot pot. Compared to Leo's luxurious spread, Shane had a few bowls of vegetables. Whoa, tastes good. Leo tried it. Not spicy, but savory. Louis smirked. Wouldn't dare open a shop without some skill. He didn't disturb the couple, retreating to the kitchen to clean up. Shane stared at the cabbage boiling in his pot, then at the platters of meat on Leo's table. envy radiating from his eyes. Clatter! Suddenly, a plate of meat was placed in front of him. Shane looked up. It was Louis. Years later, and you still look like a ghost, Louis teased. Recognized you last night, so you're back in the game. Shane glanced at Leo in the distance, then sighed. I have my difficulties. Louis didn't press. He gazed at Leo and Ava, watching them eat and laugh, and suddenly fell into a daze. Thinking of her, Louis snapped back to reality and looked at Shane. Shane ate a piece of meat and sighed. I still remember seeing you and her years ago. You guys were just like them. If that incident hadn't happened, you'd be married by now, right? You talk too much, Louis said softly. Me and her. It's sooner or later. How about I give you a reading? Shane offered. Can't eat your meat for free. Forget it, you old fraud. I don't dare believe your readings. Louis waved him off. Anyone you read for never seems to end well. You better watch yourself with metaphysics like that. I'm afraid karma will bite you one day. Hearing this, Shane froze. He slowly turned his head to look at Leo. Karma? Surely not. North Point Military Base, interrogation room. After a night of non-stop interrogation, Deputy Director Dunn of the interrogation section could barely keep his eyes open. Looking at the thick stack of files on the desk, Dunn sighed deeply. Captain Evans, where on earth did you go? These were confessions from spies, requiring Section Chief Leo Evans' signature. Even Dunn didn't have the authority to sign. And of course, they couldn't reach Leo. Forget it, I'll just sleep for a bit. Dunn felt like only seconds had passed when he heard someone knocking on his desk. Knock, knock, knock. Who is it? Dunn lifted his head wearily, rubbing his eyes. Seeing Commander Hayes, he instantly sobered up. Commander, why are you here? Checking on the situation. Hayes pointed to the man beside him. This is Special Operative Wu from the Frontier. SP Special Operative. Dunn froze for a second, then jumped up and shouted, Sir. Hello, sir. Mad Dog Wu waved his hand hurriedly. I heard you caught a Corps member of the Vulture, so I came to see. Corps member. Dunn quickly realized he meant Shiro Kiri. Yes, sir. Follow me. Dunn led them nervously. Is this Spec Op here to inspect our work? Oh crap, Captain Evans going AWOL isn't going to stay hidden. Wu looked at Dunn and suddenly asked, You're nervous? Dunn shuddered and blurted out. Captain Evans really didn't go AWOL. Wu. Hayes' face turned black. What the hell are you saying? Captain Evans? Wu raised an eyebrow at Hayes. Hayes smiled bitterly. Our new section chief. He's a bit unique. Hearing new. Wu remember the guy at the airport. He laughed. North Point really breeds talent. Hayes smiled awkwardly, grabbed Dunn, and hissed, Contact Leo Evans immediately. Get it back here, understand? Dunn felt a headache coming on. Commander, I can't reach him either. Then have his grandfather contact him. Just get him back. Hayes was terrified Wu would get a bad impression of Leo, which might jeopardize the qualifiers. He heard Wu was the chief judge. This was not the time to screw up. Soon, they arrived at Shiro Kiri's holding cell. Shiro heard the door and slowly opened his eyes. You're Shiro Kiri? Three Tails. Who are you? My surname is Wu. You can call me Mad Dog Wu. Hearing the name, Shiro's pupils constricted. He knew what that name meant. On the Frontier blacklist, there were 8 or 9 Chinese names hunted by every faction. But the ones you absolutely couldn't mess with, the ones every nation wanted dead, were only 2 people. Captain Invincible Zhao and Mad Dog Wu. Didn't expect the famous Mad Dog to come all the way from the Frontier for me. Shiro laughed self-deprecatingly, then looked at Hayes. Where's Leo? Why isn't he here? Hayes' mouth twitched. I want to know where the hell he is too. Seeing Hayes silent, Shiro shook his head and looked at Wu. I said everything I had to say that night. When are you letting me go home? That might be delayed for a while, Wu said slowly. He had learned from Hayes that they promised to release Shiro in exchange for intel. Wu had no issue with it, but the brass had big opinions. They didn't think Shiro should just walk. As expected, Shiro growled. Are you going back on your word? Not exactly. Wu waved his hand. We just need you to do us a small favor. Shiro stared at him silently. Wu enunciated each word clearly. I need to meet Chizuru Kiri. Impossible. Shiro refused instantly, furious. You want to use me to draw my brother out? Not exactly. I just want to confirm something. Wu said softly. I suspect your brother, Chizuru, is being used by the Vulture. What? What do you mean? Yesterday, we received intel that Chizuru has quietly infiltrated our borders. Wu's eyes were grave. Clearly, someone leaked the fact that we captured you to him. And, simultaneously, someone leaked his movements to us. It's highly likely the Vulture wants to watch us fight to the death and profit from the chaos. Shiro looked uncertain. Chizuru infiltrating was bad enough, but if the Chinese side knew, his brother was in danger. Shiro swallowed hard. He hadn't expected this. Then, ignoring Hayes' presence, Wu dropped a bombshell. Shiro, I'm not representing the Chinese military in this cooperation. I represent only myself. Hayes stared at Wu, eyes wide with shock. Meanwhile, Leo, eating hot pot, received a call from General George Evans. Hello, what's up? You brat, where are you right now? Eating hot pot. What? You have the leisure to eat hot pot? Get back here. Hayes is going crazy looking for you. Leo glanced at Ava, who was still eating. I'm a bit busy. Can he wait? George exploded. Busy eating hot pot? Can you prioritize? Why are you so immature? Leo smiled bitterly. My wife hasn't finished eating, and neither have I. On the other end, George got even angrier. Why didn't you tell me such big news earlier? Your grandpa has been in North Point for years. You don't even know where the real food is. Send me the address. Wait for me. I'm taking you to eat actual good food. George hung up, hurriedly threw on his coat, and prepared to leave. Deputy Director Dunn watched, dumbfounded. General Evans, Commander Hayes asked you to get Captain Evans back. Why are you running off to? George paused, looked at Dunn, and said, right? The special operative is here. I can't go AWOL. Dunn sighed in relief. At least the general knew priorities. Then he heard George say, please ask for leave on my behalf from Commander Hayes. Sam feeling unwell and went home to rest. Ask for leave for Leo too. We won't be back for dinner. With that, George trotted out the door, leaving Dunn standing in the office, bewildered. How do I explain this to Hayes? Not only did I fail to get Leo back, but General Evans ran off too, asking me to ask for leave. How am I supposed to ask for leave? Dunn wanted to cry. He was sleepy as hell. He wanted to ask for leave too. Meanwhile, seeing Leo hang up, Ava asked through a mouthful of meat, who was that? My grandpa, Leo said nonchalantly. He says he's coming to take us to eat good food. Huh? Ava was startled. But didn't you say he was busy? Leo blinked. Thinking about it, he doesn't seem that busy. Just interrogating spies, he's barely involved. And dealing with Gareth Granger blowing up the town. Leo's tone was flat, as if none of this concerned him. Usually, Ava would spot something wrong. But now she was flustered. Your grandpa is coming? I haven't prepared anything. It's fine, don't be nervous. I didn't prepare anything when I met him, and he was happy to see me. Ava was speechless. Is that the same thing? Nearby, Louis raised an eyebrow, overhearing the conversation. Watch the shop for me. He tapped Shane on the shoulder. I have something to do. Won't be long. My staff will be here soon. Give Leo's table and yours a 15% discount. Don't mention it. Shane looked at him, seeming to understand something. Okay, go ahead. Taking a bite of meat, Shane realized something. Wait, 15% discount? That means I'm paying 85%? Shane jerked his head up, but Louis was already gone. Damn, is this a rip-off joint? Who does business like this? Thinking about it, Shane decided to pretend he heard nothing and buried his face in the bowl. On the other side, knowing George was imminent, Ava wiped her mouth and pulled out a compact mirror to check her makeup. Leo smirked. Is that necessary? What do you know? This is my first time meeting your grandfather. I have to make a good impression. Ava glared at him. Leo slurped a piece of cabbage and suddenly asked, by the way, how's my dad doing in NYC? Busy. He and Director Jensen are barely sleeping trying to suppress the unrest, Ava recalled. Before I left, it was mostly under control, but they need to stay there to maintain order. Oh right, the young master of the Westcott family kept saying he wanted to meet you. Westcott young master. Leo raised a brow. Sebastian Westcott? That guy's still alive. Ava nodded. The hospital saved him. He helped quite a bit in suppressing the riots. The fact that the Westcott dynasty is gone seems to have hit him hard. Considering Leo was the one who effectively dismantled the Westcott family, Leo wondered what Sebastian's attitude toward him was now. What about Ethan Sia? Did he go back? Leo asked. Ava tilted her head. Lucia Shang had some family matters back in her hometown, so she took Ethan and rushed back. Hometown? Westlake City. No, seemingly a place near Westlake City called Purple Town. Leo nodded, thinking Ethan is rushing back to get married or something. Wait, Leo realized. Lucia's hometown should be the Shang dynasty in NYC, right? I don't know. Maybe her mother's side. Ava frowned. Leo, you ask about this and that, but you don't ask how I've been in NYC? Do you know I was working myself to death every day? And you jerk, had time to go to scenic spots and take photos for your social feed. Ava was getting angry, seemingly ready to settle accounts. Leo immediately dropped his chopsticks and wailed. Ava, you don't know. After I got here and saw things were calm, I wanted to rush back to NYC to find you. But my mom acted like a total slacker and dumped her squad on me, then went on vacation. I was undercover, catching spies. Gareth Granger chased me for 2 days, blew up a whole town just to kill me. Utterly heartless. Leo looked aggrieved, standing up to bury himself in Ava's arms. Boo-hoo-hoo. Ava, you don't know how much I missed you. North Point is too dangerous. If it wasn't for my mom, I would have run to NYC to find you. Leo nuzzled into Ava's chest while speaking. A veteran actor indeed, acting and copping a feel at the same time. North Point, a secluded, unnoticed corner. A figure strolled down the street, then turned purposefully into an alley. After several twists and turns, he arrived at a makeshift wooden shack. He looked up, assessing the structure. It looked like a stiff breeze would tear it apart. Before he could approach, a raspy voice sounded from inside. Who goes there? Ming, Jinsheng, President Morgan. We want to talk. We? Who is we? We are the Vulture. You can call me Five Tails. Vulture 5 stood at the door, speaking calmly. I'm here to collaborate. Collaborate? How? You want the lunar amber, don't you? Five Tails lowered his voice. Partner with us. Get the mithril pistol, find the horde. You take the amber. Everything else is ours. Deal. Silence fell inside the shack. Five Tails waited patiently. After a long while, Morgan spoke. As far as I know, Gareth Granger is also working with you. He wants the amber too. The Vulture promises the amber to both of us. What? Are there 2 lunar ambers? Five Tails seemed to expect this. He replied unhurriedly, You don't need to worry about that. Gareth Granger won't live to see the horde open. Neither will you, Five Tails added silently. Both Gareth Granger and President Morgan were special variants. China had banned variant research, making these 2 incredibly valuable to the Vulture. China had scruples, the Vulture did not. To them, China abandoning such potent weapons was foolish. Contacting these 2 was partly to use them, and partly to slaughter the donkeys after they pulled the millstone, to dissect them for research. But Morgan was shrewd. He wasn't stupid like Gareth. Collaborating with the Vulture was dancing with the devil. But clearly, they have eyes on me. If I don't work with them, I'll have endless trouble. After considering briefly, Morgan said slowly, Tell me your plan. Five Tails smirked. He knew Morgan had agreed. Their plan against Leo Evans was 1 step closer to completion. A few minutes later, an SUV pulled up in front of Louie's hot pot shop. General George Evans rushed out and scanned the interior. Grandpa, over here. Leo raised his hand and shouted. George followed the voice, his gaze landing on the figure sitting opposite Leo. When Ava turned and met his eyes, George was certain. That's her. Absolutely. Such a beautiful girl, must be my granddaughter-in-law. Ha ha. George laughed loudly as he approached their table. Leo, how could you not tell me Ava came to North Point? Such important news. Ava quickly stood up. Gee, Grandpa, hello. I'm Ava. Good, good, good. Hearing Ava call him Grandpa, George was delighted. Sit, sit. No need to be formal. George pulled up a stool and sat between them. Ava paused, then said, Grandpa, I planned to visit you first, but Leo said you were very busy lately, so. Not busy, not busy. George waved his hand dismissively. What busy? I was bored to death in the office. Just tried to come out and hang with you kids. Leo's mouth twitched. That's not what you said on the phone. Who can't prioritize now? Commander Hayes is lucky to have you. George then looked at the hot pot and frowned. Leo, why bring Ava to eat hot pot in the middle of the day? Leo looked confused. What's wrong with hot pot at noon? You guys ate. What else was I supposed to feed her? And who knows if the ingredients here are clean? George whispered. Eating this stuff causes indigestion, stomach problems. Luckily, Louis wasn't there, or he'd have fought the general right then and there. Leo groaned. Who knew you were coming? And back in Ethelberg, we ate hot pot at noon all the time. Ava blinked. That was Leo taking me. He wanted to eat it. Leo snapped his head around, staring at Ava with question marks popping over his head. Excuse me, sister? How can your warm lips speak such cold words? Dare you touch your conscience? And say that again. If you can't reach it, I'll help you touch it. Hearing this, George glared at Leo. Brat, it's one thing for you to be gluttonous, but dragging Ava into it? Leo felt incredibly wronged. A black pot of blame slammed onto his head. No logic involved, but under the circumstances, he had to grit his teeth. Yes, I will reflect on my actions. He glared at Ava while speaking. Revenge is a dish best served later. Tonight, you will know my power. Ava was fearless. If Leo dared bully her, she'd tell Grandpa. Seeing Leo's sincere apology, George nodded. Then he switched faces, smiling at Ava. Ava, Want Grandpa to show you around North Point? Leo knows nothing, just knows how to eat. I know way more fun places. When you're tired, I'll take you to eat real good food. Ava couldn't refuse. I'll listen to Grandpa. Her obedient appearance delighted George. He felt Leo marrying such a good girl was a blessing accumulated over generations of the Evans family. Leo sat silently drinking Ava's boba tea, attempting to get revenge by finishing her drink. Ava Reed, the little witch, is indeed not a fuel-efficient lamp. North Point, military interrogation room. Mad Dog Wu and Commander Hayes slowly exited Shiro Kiri's room. Wu, Shiro suddenly called out. Wu turned back. Shiro said, remember what you said? If you dare lie to me. Shiro, spare me the tough guy act. Wu interrupted softly. We both know. You have no choice. Shiro stared at Wu's face, silent. Click. The door closed, plunging Shiro back into darkness. Outside, Deputy Director Dunn was waiting, his expression extremely off. What is it? Didn't I tell you to get Section Chief Evans back? Hayes asked. Commander, there was a tiny accident. Dunn chuckled nervously. Hayes had a bad feeling, but with Wu standing right there, he had to brave it. What situation? Speak. I want to ask General Evans to contact Leo, as you said. And then, General Evans said he wasn't feeling well and asked me to request leave for him. And for Leo. Hayes's face turned completely black. I told you to fetch one person. Not only did you fail, you lost another one. After a moment, Hayes turned awkwardly to Wu. The weather has been changing a lot lately. They might have caught a cold, not feeling well, a dignified commander, making excuses for his subordinates. Hayes felt his command was a joke. Wu gave Hayes a meaningful look, nodded, and said nothing. This attitude made Hayes nervous. Would Wu angrily disqualify Leo from the competition? That would be a huge loss. He had spent so much energy, written so many self-criticism essays, and withstood so much pressure just so Leo could take first place. If Leo got disqualified, Hayes would be the ultimate sucker. Fortunately, Wu didn't seem to mind much. But Hayes couldn't read him, so he just had to play it by ear. Meanwhile, Julian and Silas returned to their courtyard. Julian went straight to Sterling's room. As if expecting him, Sterling handed a stack of documents to Julian. This is the data on the Vulture. Take a look. Julian scanned a few pages, frowning. Why haven't I heard of some of this intel? Of course you haven't, Sterling said calmly. Because I deduced it from existing intelligence. He continued. From the looks of it, the Vulture is a massive organization. Including the leader, the Vulture himself, there are 10 core members. Besides these 10, I suspect they have sleepers in every country. To destroy the organization, we must eliminate the leader. Julian nodded slowly. 9 tails. If any die, someone replaces them immediately. But the Vulture, it's been the same person from the start. He hides too well. Digging him out by normal means is nearly impossible. Exactly. Sterling took a deep breath. The critical point is we don't know the Vulture's movements. I was thinking, can we plant someone undercover to get us something? Julian raised an eyebrow. Undercover? You mean? Thou? No, absolutely not him. Sterling shook his head. The Vulture isn't Shiro Kiri. If anything feels off, Leo will be exposed instantly. They might even use Leo to set a trap for us. Julian sat on the sofa, rubbing his brow. This enemy was different. One wrong move, and they lose everything. This undercover candidate is hard to find. I'll go. A voice rang out. Julian and Sterling looked at the door simultaneously. Louis stood there, cigarette in his mouth, leaning against the frame, looking at them teasingly. Just an undercover job? Look at you two moping. Why are you here? Sterling looked surprised. Louis shrugged. Bored. Came to visit. He pointed at himself. Back to business. You need a mole in the Vulture? I'll go. Sterling frowned immediately. The Vulture organization isn't Bedlam. One slip up, and you're doomed. I was doomed a long time ago, Louis said casually. Sterling, what do you think kept me alive till today? Before they could answer, Louis said, it's hatred, old friend. He put out the cigarette and exhaled a long plume of smoke. As long as I can kill those bastards, I don't care what happens to me. Silence filled the room. Louis lit another cigarette. Finally, Sterling said, you don't care, but what about Natalie? If something happens to you, how do I explain it to Natalie Snow? Sterling, you still don't understand us. Louis shook his head. As long as vengeance is served, even if I die, Natalie will finish the path for me. Sterling felt heavy. He knew Louis and Natalie's obsession. He knew Louis was the best candidate. But he didn't want Louis to go. After losing Patriarch Sheen, Sterling feared Louis would die in vain like him. In Sterling's chess game against the Vulture, his goal had always been to win without losing a single piece. Impossible sounding, but what he strove for. Sterling, when did you get so sentimental? Louis saw through him. It's settled. I'll go prepare. I'll await orders. Sterling, my life is in your hands. Use it as you see fit. On a bustling street in North Point, General George Evans had transformed into a tour guide. Ava, eat this. This is delicious. Ava, let me take you over there. There's a flower wall, very pretty. Ava, tell Grandpa what you like, I'll buy it. Ava. Leo's ears were calloused from hearing it. Along the way, his only function was companionship and garbage disposal. Ava took one bite of whatever George bought and dumped the rest on Leo. With George's buying habits, even Leo's appetite was maxed out. Grandpa, hold on. Leo couldn't help but speak up. Can we rest? George frowned at him. Ava hasn't complained about being tired. You're a grown man. What are you tired for? Leo was speechless. You guys aren't tired because you aren't carrying the stuff. He remembered when he first arrived in North Point, George didn't treat him like this. Did family affection expire so quickly? Leo's mouth twitched. He looked at Ava. Ava, you must be tired too, right? I'm not tired. Ava shook her head. I want to shop some more. Seeing Leo suffer was rare. She wasn't letting him off the hook. Facts prove that shopping with a woman is exhausting. Even Leo felt mentally and physically drained. Ava seemed tireless. Leo suspected the system had defected to her. Please do not question this system's loyalty. Loyalty my ass. Leo cursed internally. When you first came, you tried to erase me every day. If there wasn't a lack of a complaint hotline, I'd report your trashy ass daily. The system didn't respond, either angry or ignoring him. Leo checked the ultimate mission progress bar. 35%, not zero progress, but effectively zero progress. Leo suspected Gareth Granger stole all the global icon fame. Hey wait, an idea struck Leo. System, if I fatten Gareth Granger up like a pig, make him globally famous, and then I kill him. Does that count as me being world famous and completing the mission? Please complete the mission according to normal procedures. Or I dress up as Gareth and cause chaos everywhere. Does that work? Or I ask Commander Hayes to hand out flyers with my face and name to the whole world? Leo proposed several methods, all rejected. Finally, the system snapped. Do whatever the hell you want. Fisk, why are you getting angry? Leo chided. We're one entity. Don't start infighting. How many immoral deeds did I have to commit to get stuck with a host like you? You keep acting abstract, and I'll self-destruct. We can both end it. Leo knew the system was desperate. Better give it time to cool off. But he was really curious about the mystery reward. Finally, after they found a place to rest, Leo asked, Grandpa, is the date for the qualifiers set? I'm in a hurry to go to the frontier to do big things. Ava looked confused. What qualifiers? Why go to the frontier? George nodded. Exactly. Why go to the frontier? What about Ava? I'm taking Ava with me, Leo said matter-of-factly. There's no rule saying I can't bring family. What did you say? George's eyes widened. You want to take Ava to a dangerous place like that? Absolutely not. No, Grandpa, listen to me. Leo patiently explained about the Vulture targeting Ava. With her by my side, she's safest. However, George barely heard the logic. His brain fixated on one thing. The Vulture dares to touch my granddaughter-in-law? Preposterous. George looked furious. Those Vulture bastards are tired of living? I thought I'd retire soon and not bother with them. Damn it, daring to touch Ava? I gave him too much face. Leo and Ava hurriedly tried to calm him down. Don't get excited, Grandpa, I'm fine, see? Ava soothed. Yeah. Plus with your old arms and legs, you plan to make trouble for them? Leo persuaded kindly. Hearing this, George got angrier. What old arms and legs? Let me tell you, even if your dad came, he couldn't beat me. I taught him everything. Leo pursed his lips. Last time he told me, he let you win to save your face. Ava stepped on Leo's foot hard. If you can't speak, speak less, she whispered. Trying to give him a heart attack? After a long while, George calmed down. This isn't the place to talk. I'll take you to an old friend's place. George said slowly. I'll tell you about the competition there. Leo slumped. Why wait till now? Soon, George drove them to a remote restaurant. Frank's Stew House. Northern home cooking is different from the South, George explained as they walked in. It's all about being hearty. I guarantee, even if you're full, seeing the food will make you eat 2 more bowls of rice. Hearing George's booming voice, the owner walked out. Seeing George, he laughed. George, haven't seen you in a while. Ha ha. Frank, let me introduce you. George pointed at Leo. This is my grandson. Then at Ava. My granddaughter-in-law. How about it? Talented man, beautiful woman, a match made in heaven. Your grandson? Frank looked at Leo in surprise. Didn't you say your grandson was in Ethelberg? He came to North Point. Haha. Let me tell you, my grandson is the youngest captain in the North Point military district now. For real. Frank looked amazed, then regretful. Shame. I was ready to agree when you said you'd introduce him to my daughter. Leo and George's smiles froze. Leo looked at Ava and shook his head frantically. I didn't know about this. George said awkwardly. Frank, watch your mouth. When did I say that? Frank looked at Ava and Leo, then realized. All right. No such thing. I remembered wrong. Leo was speechless. George quickly said, All right, get us some food. The usual. Get some specialties. My grandson is from the South, hasn't had real northern food. You got it. Guaranteed to make you want to stay forever. Frank went to the kitchen. George sat them at a small round table. Frank used to be in the military too. Got injured in the frontier, had a daughter to raise, so he retired and opened this place. Most customers are military or old comrades. He looked at Leo. You're going to the frontier? Ask him some things. Frank has experience. His advice helps. George continued. As for the qualifiers, the date is set for 5 days from now. Each district sends a team. 27 teams. It happens at the junction of North Point and the frontier. 3 parts: solo, arena, and team battle. After the 3 parts, teams are ranked by points. Top 10 get special privileges in the frontier. That's the gist. Leo nodded thoughtfully. 5 days. Then, the frontier. The vulture leader was there. The mission was there. Ava asked, 27 teams? That's big competition. Grandpa, where does North Point usually rank? Silence fell over the table. George coughed lightly. Past results don't matter. This year matters. We didn't even place. Leo nodded. With me here, we're taking first. They couldn't tell Ava they were consistently last place for years, right? Especially when David Evans and Carol Evans led the team. Leo felt embarrassed, let alone George. Every time he thought of it, George wanted to hang the couple up and beat them. Ava sensed the weird vibe and stopped asking. Just then, Frank brought the food. Here we go. Country fried steak. Pod roast. Roasted root vegetables. Fried mushrooms. Meatball soup. Huge plates covered the table. Even though Ava was full, she wanted a bite. Come on, taste it. Frank smiled. Leo tried the steak. Ava followed suit. Delicious. Frank, sit and eat, George invited. Tell my grandson about the frontier. I can drink, you can't, Frank refused. I'm retired. You're not. George felt bored, so he drank tea while Frank drank liquor. Frank told Leo, the frontier is different from the base. Training, fighting, surviving. Out of 100 who go, maybe 10 come back alive. Especially now with foreign threats, it's dangerous. Frank began recounting his experiences. Night fell. A hidden underground casino in North Point. People crowded around tables. Some cheering, some despairing. A figure in a white suit appeared, cigarette in mouth. He scanned the room, eyes locking on the stairs. 2 guards blocked it. Louis took a deep breath and walked over. Stop. No entry. Louis looked up. I'm looking for the guy upstairs. The guard sneered. Do you know who that is? Of course. Louis smiled, holding up 5 fingers. I'm looking for Vulture 5. The guard started, alert. Who are you? Relax. I'm Seven Tails, man, Louis said slowly. Seven Tails is dead. By the rules, I can seek a new perch. I am here to defect to 5 Tails. Defect. The guards hesitated. Wait here. I need to report. No problem, Louis smiled. I have time. A few minutes later, the man from upstairs came down and said to Louis, follow me. Louis nodded and followed the man up the stairs. However, as soon as he walked into a room, everything went black as a hood was thrown over his head. His hands were restrained, and a beating commenced. Thud, whack, crack. Countless blows landed. Louis didn't resist. He gritted his teeth and endured it. Minutes later, a voice rang out. All right, don't actually kill him. The beating stopped. Louis was battered, breathing shallowly. Someone pulled the hood off. His face was bloody. Fighting the dizziness, he opened his eyes to see a man in a black fox mask sitting on the central sofa, looking down at him with interest. Not bad. Took a beating that long, without a sound. Louis panted, a bloody smile tugging at his lips. If I screamed, would you stop? Five Tails smiled behind the mask. No, you'd be beaten worse. You know why? I have a quirk. I love hearing screams. For tough bones who don't make a sound, I hate them the most. Louis wheezed. Is it too late to scream now? Five Tails paused, then laughed loudly. Ha ha, interesting. Very interesting. He stood up, squatted in front of Louis, and stared into his eyes. You're Seven Tails, man? Yes. Why come to me? Seven Tails is dead. The military is hunting spies everywhere. I want to live. Louis met Five Tails' gaze without fear. People like us, without someone above, were finished sooner or later. Five Tails asked, so if I take you, what do I get? I could tell you a secret. Intel Seven Tails got before he died, before he could report to the organization. Intel Seven Tails would tell you. I overheard it by accident. The specific location of the North Point horde. Five Tails' pupils constricted. Are you serious? Of course, Louis whispered. But without the mithril pistol, telling you is useless. Without the pistol, forcing the vault open destroys everything inside. Five Tails looked uncertain. He couldn't judge the truth. But Seven Tails had met Sterling's group before dying. Maybe he really found something. Where is it? Tell me, Five Tails said slowly. Say it, and I'll accept you. Louis scoffed, spurting blood. Say it, and I have no value. I went through all this trouble, took a beating, not just so you'd accept me. What for then? Five Tails asked. You have other goals? Of course. Louis stared at him. Let's make a deal. You help me become a tail, and I tell you the location. I'm sick of being a lackey. I want my fate in my own hands. How about it, Five Tails? Become a tail. Five Tails was shaken. There were only 9. It was incredibly hard. He had only become Five Tails by luck. I can't help you. Five Tails shook his head. Each tail is appointed by the vulture himself. We dare not interfere. Seven Tails is dead. Who replaces him is the leader's decision. Louis looked unreconciled. Can't you recommend me? Why can't I be the new Seven Tails? Hee. Five Tails laughed. By your logic, if they kill me, can they become the new Five Tails? He pointed at the men in the room. Ask them, do they dare? The men shook their heads vigorously. Five Tails continued. Besides, if I recommend you and your identity is compromised, I'm screwed too. I don't seek merit, only to avoid fault. Avoid risk, survive. That's why I'm alive today. Louis cursed internally. This Five Tails is a coward. Zero risk-taking. Hesitating briefly, Louis struggled to stand. In that case, sorry to disturb. He turned to the door. 1 step, 2 steps. Five Tails watched him without moving. Just as Louis touched the doorknob, Five Tails' voice sounded. You didn't think I'd just let you leave, did you? Five Tails teased. Those who enter this room leave 2 ways. Either as my man, or as a dead man. He stepped forward. I think you're interesting. A ways to kill you. I'll give you a chance. Tell me the location, I take you in. In the future, maybe you can become a tail. Five Tails wasn't entirely lying. He thought this guy had potential. And if Louis became a tail under him, that was beneficial. Louis smiled, but when he turned, the smile vanished. He looked at Five Tails with a bitter expression. Do I have another choice? Five Tails laughed and opened his arms. Welcome to my faction. Louis marveled at the man's audacity. Doesn't even know my name and recruits me. Just wait, Louis thought. I'll get back at you for this beating. He wiped the blood from his mouth and grinned painfully. North Point nights were quieter than the South. Except for that one explosive night, people had returned to normal. In Frank's stew house, Leo and the others were full. George insisted on paying, but Frank blocked him. George, today you listen to me. It's on me. Your grandson is my grandson. Right, grandson? Frank shouted at Leo. Right, absolutely. Leo raised a bottle of liquor. Uncle Frank is generous. Bottoms up. Glug, glug, glug. Leo, down a bottle. Frank, not to be outdone, down 1 too. Frank was drunk. Leo was fine. His constitution made him practically immune to alcohol. George was speechless. People will think he's actually your grandson. Eventually, George and Ava pried the two apart and secretly left money at the counter. Grandson, come back soon. Frank waved. You got it, Uncle Frank. Leo leaned out the window before Ava pulled him back in. George drove them back. Leo, have fun in North Point for 2 days. When the competition order comes down, I'll notify you. Don't worry about the base. I'll tell Hayes. Leo nodded. Okay, Grandpa. With you, I'm at ease. My grandpa is a general. Leo could walk sideways in North Point. Soon, they were back at the hotel. Go back to your room. Ava pointed to Adrian's room. Rest early. As Ava opened her door, Leo instantly feigned illness. Ava, my head is spinning. I think I drank too much. I forgot my key card. Let me rest here a bit. Leo slipped into Ava's room. Ava paused, then laughed angrily. Act. Keep acting. I'm not acting. Stupid cat. I'm drunk. Meow. Liar. See, Reggie says I'm drunk. Bullying me because I don't speak cat? Leo ignored her, flopping onto the bed in a starfish shape. claiming territory. Ava kicked him. This backfired. Her stocking-clad legs waving in front of him were too much. Leo spring-loaded upright, grabbed Ava, and headed for the bathroom, hands wandering over the silky texture. Hey, Leo, wait. We just did it this morning. Ava was a trapped rabbit. Soon, Reggie on the balcony twitched an ear, annoyed. Meow. Noisy. Day and night. Let cats sleep. He covered his ears with his paws. Sound of Ava begging for mercy drifted out. Only late into the night did peace return. Meanwhile, I'd eat. Or don't. Hot pot. Vache fester. There's a pile in the back. A burly chef shouted at Shane Quill. Came to dine and dash without money. Takes all kinds. Clean them well, or you don't leave. Shane wanted to cry. He never expected Leo wouldn't pay. Leo thought Louis was treating him as a buddy. So when the staff arrived, they caught Shane, the scapegoat. I only ate a few pieces of cabbage. You let the meat eaters go and catch the cabbage guy. Bullying an honest man. I'm friends with your boss. He treated us. Call him. They called Louis. No answer. Shane died inside. When will this end? Shane looked at the mountain of dirty dishes. How is business this good? Louis, you cheapskate. Shane couldn't take it anymore. He whispered to the guy watching him. Bro, actually I'm a fortune teller. How about I read your fortune and you let me go? Shut up and wash. Okay. Shane scrubbed furiously. The frontier, inside an unnamed, dusty town. Huh. A man jolted awake in bed, gasping for air, his shirt soaked in cold sweat. Once his heart rate settled, he immediately looked to the bedside table where a white briefcase sat. Inside was the Ganges biological gene data from the Southern Union. Confirming the asset was safe, the man walked slowly to the window, watching the sun rise in the east, and let out a long breath. Almost there. Captain Invincible, Zhao whispered softly. Leave this town, cross 2 more mountains, and I'll be safe. Along the way, to shake off the people hunting him, he had been hiding like a rat, not even daring to report his exact location to Frontier Command. Zhao fished a cigarette from his pocket and lit it, his eyes revealing a heaviness never seen before. Only a few people knew about his undercover work in the Southern Union. He was certain he hadn't left any loose ends during the operation. Yet he was exposed so suddenly. It was certain he had been sold out, but he didn't know who the traitor was, so he could only run with the data, hiding in the shadows, too afraid to request backup from headquarters. Just then, a knock sounded at the door, followed by a man's voice from the hallway. He wasn't speaking English, but the gist was that Zhao's time was up and he needed to check out. Zhao frowned. Checking out this early? Who were they trying to fool? Sensing something was wrong, he pulled a pistol from his waistband, walked slowly to the door, aimed at the center mass, and waited. A few seconds later, bang, the door was kicked open. In an instant, a dozen armed soldiers appeared in Zhao's line of sight. Undoubtedly, they were here to kill him. Without hesitation, he pulled the trigger, firing several shots in rapid succession. Bang, bang, bang. After dropping a few of them, Zhao grabbed the briefcase, spun around, and jumped out the window. Fortunately, the floor wasn't high, and there was an awning to break his fall, so he landed steadily. Borrowing this, he hopped directly onto a motorcycle parked by the curb, twisted the throttle hard, and sped off. Oh my God, my bike, someone yelled angrily in broken English. However, when the owner saw a group of armed soldiers appear and chase frantically after Zhao, he immediately shut his mouth. Compared to his motorcycle, he valued his life more. North Point, military base. In General George Evans's office, Commander Hayes spoke with a face full of bitter exhaustion. I'm begging you, grandfather and grandson, can you please give me a break? How many nursing homes did I bomb my past life to get stuck with your Evans family? Ever since Leo arrived, I haven't had a good night's sleep. Hayes grabbed a handful of his own hair and thrust his head toward George. Look at this. I have so many more gray hairs. George pushed Hayes away with a look of disgust. You have a lot of dandruff, too. It's all because of you people. I don't even have time to wash my hair. Hayes raged. Of the 27 military districts in the country, I, the commander, am the most aggrieved. Commanders in other districts live like kings. And me? I spend every damn day wiping your asses and writing self-criticism essays. Other subordinates provide emotional stability to their commanders. You guys? You bring all the drama, but absolutely no value. Keep playing, you living nightmares. When you finally drive me to an early grave and a new commander comes in, you'll be happy. Hayes stood with one hand on his hip and the other pointing at George, clearly furious. His emotions were escalating the more he spoke. Seeing this, George quickly tried to soothe him. Old Hayes, calm down. At our age, blood pressure and heart health aren't great. You shouldn't get so worked up. I want to get worked up? Hayes pointed at his own face in disbelief. Do you know how busy I've been these past few days? The scene at Bedlam still hasn't been cleaned up. We caught a pile of spies, and the interrogations aren't even finished. I can't even get through all the intel. Higher-ups sent down special operatives. Shirokiri is here. The qualifiers are starting, and I have to worry about everything alone. At such a critical time, you take your grandson out shopping and eating home-cooked meals. Hayes opened and closed his mouth for a long time before finally squeezing out a sentence. Fuck my life. George calmly sipped his tea and said with composure, You're the commander. You're the head of this district, our boss. It's normal for you to be busy. These words made Hayes laugh out of anger. You guys actually know I'm the boss? People who didn't know better would think you were my boss. Hayes tried hard to calm himself, taking several deep breaths before speaking slowly. Tomorrow, have Leo get ready to lead the team to the qualifiers. Major Shaw will accompany them as the supervising officer. Chief Examiner Mad Dog, who has already left today, warn Leo from me. Don't cause any trouble. If he acts like David and Carol used to, I will fight your Evans family to the death. Hearing this, George looked puzzled. I remember there's still a few days left. Why leave so early? Go early to get familiar with the place. Besides, other districts' teams will be there. It's good to meet them. They might be comrades in the future, Hayes said. In previous years, teams always left a few days early, but David and Carol, that couple. Forget it, I won't talk about it. David Evans not being late was already a miracle. Expecting him to go early? And Carol treated the competition like a vacation. George suddenly realized. So that's how it is. Hayes just felt tired. If he could turn back time, he would rather have died on the frontier than come back to be this dog of a commander. It wasn't a job for humans. Depart tomorrow at noon. Tell Leo not to be late. If he's late, I'm fighting your family. Got it. George nodded. Don't work too hard. Rest when you need to. How about I treat you to dinner at Frank's place tonight? Get lost. Hayes shouted. Next time I see Frank, I'm telling him to blacklist you. You're not allowed to eat there. George clicked his tongue. He was just showing concern out of the kindness of his heart. If Hayes didn't appreciate it, fine, but why get angry? Hayes couldn't be bothered to argue. He left George's office directly, not even closing the door. Along the way, everyone who saw Commander Hayes instinctively dodged to the side. The commander's mood seemed very off today. He looked like a powder keg, ready to explode at the slightest spark. North Point, inside Ava Reed's hotel room. The sun shone through the window, casting light onto the bed. Leo opened his eyes and checked the time. It was already 12 noon. Ava was nestled in his arms, looking exhausted, still not awake. He had worn her out last night. Otherwise, with her usual sleeping habits, she would have been up long ago. Looking at the sleeping Ava, Leo couldn't resist gently flicking her nose. Ava frowned slightly, her voice as faint as a mosquito. Stop it. Wake up, wifey, Leo whispered in her ear. It's noon. 5 more minutes. At that moment, the little white cat, Reggie, strolled leisurely into the room and agilely jumped onto the bed. Meow. I want to go out and play. Leo blinked, then whispered in Ava's ear again. Reggie says he wants to go out and play. Ava slowly opened her eyes, gradually waking up. Recalling everything from the night before, she instantly blushed. Not knowing if it was shyness or annoyance, she bit Leo's arm hard. What are you doing? Leo sucked in a cold breath. That's for bullying me last night, Ava said fiercely. She couldn't even wear those socks anymore, and she felt like she had no strength left in her body. Leo looked at the teeth marks on his arm and shook his head helplessly. Meow. Play. Reggie jumped onto Leo's head, meowing incessantly. Leo gave him a flick on the forehead, and Reggie instantly behaved. Just then, General George called to inform Leo about the departure tomorrow. So rushed, Leo asked, can't we leave a few days later? You go discuss that with Commander Hayes yourself, but I advise you to listen honestly. He's like a stick of dynamite right now. One spark and he blows, George advised. If you don't follow his arrangements, I feel like he might just drag you down with him in a murder-suicide. Hearing this, Leo had a pretty good idea of the state of Hayes' mental health. TSK, a commander with such poor psychological resilience. Fine, tomorrow at noon, right? Got it. Leo hung up and turned to Ava. We have to leave again tomorrow. Where to? Ava asked groggily. Sort of a vacation, Leo said after thinking for a moment. It was a while before the two finally dragged themselves out of bed, got dressed, and washed up. Just as they were about to go out for some food, they opened the door and ran into Kane and Adrian. You guys just woke up. Kane held a breakfast burrito in his hand, looking the couple up and down. Impossible. We've been up for ages, Leo lied without blushing or skipping a beat. Kane and Adrian wore expressions that clearly said, I believe you like, I believe the earth is flat. Leo pretended not to see it. By the way, that old blind guy didn't come back last night. Did you sell him or something? Kane asked. Leo paused. The prophet didn't come back? Right, the old con man had been following him. He hadn't even noticed when a guy disappeared. Just then, footsteps approached. Four people and one cat turned to look. They saw Shane Quill, eyes lifeless, walking down the corridor like a zombie. It looked as if he'd been ravaged all night. He had washed dishes the entire night to pay off their debt before the hot pot restaurant finally let him go. Mr. Evans. Shane saw Leo and spoke with a crying tone. For you. I even sold my body. They torture me all night. No matter how I begged, they wouldn't let me go. They didn't let me rest for a single minute. Those people took turns watching me. Ava, Kane, Adrian, Reggie, Lau. At these words, everyone stared at Shane in shock. Then, they turned their gaze to Leo. Leo looked bewildered. I don't know anything. I didn't sell him to that kind of place. I'm innocent. Wait, no. I'm wrongly accused. No one believed him. Kane shook his head and sighed. Leo, I didn't think your humanity had degraded to this level. No, listen to me explain. Leo hurriedly looked at Ava. Quick, help me explain. This concerns my reputation. Ava played dumb, looking at Leo with disgust and stepping away. Then, she looked at him with disappointment. Leo, I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. Meow. Exactly. Reggie jumped down from Leo's head and joined the army of critics. Leo was completely dumbfounded. What the hell did he do? You old phony, speak clearly, damn it. Seeing this, Shane opened his mouth slightly, then sighed. Forget it, Mr. Evans. I don't want to bring it up again. Let the past stay in the past. This statement only made the misunderstanding worse. Ava huffed, picked up Reggie, and said, Reggie, let's stay away from this bad man so you don't learn bad habits. Hey, Ava, wait for me. Leo chased after her. I really didn't do anything. After the couple left, Kane and Adrian looked at Shane with sympathy. It's okay. It's all over. Kane patted his shoulder. Take a shower, get some sleep, and pretend nothing happened. Shane nodded tearfully and followed the two back to the room. Meanwhile, in the office that originally belonged to Colonel Grant, someone else was now sitting in that chair. Major Shaw sat in the chair Grant used to frequent, staring blankly at the desk. Even now, he was unwilling to accept reality. Grant was involved with spies and had been detained, and Shaw had logically taken over as the officer in charge. After taking office, he had requested countless times to see Grant, but was rejected every time. Lost in thought, Shaw didn't notice Commander Hayes standing at the door. Seeing Shaw like this, Hayes sighed and knocked on the door. The sound pulled Shaw back from his thoughts. Seeing Hayes, he immediately stood up. Commander Hayes. Sit, don't be nervous. Hayes waved his hand. I just came to tell you that tomorrow at noon, you'll take Leo's squad to the venue for the qualifiers. Me? Shaw was stunned. But I don't have experience. Everyone has a first time. You can use this opportunity to clear your mind, Hayes said calmly. Colonel Stone and General Evans both have important matters to attend to, so it has to be you. After a long silence, Shaw slowly nodded. Okay, I understand. Taking a day off, moi. Time flew, and soon it was the next day. Inside the military base, Lieutenant Sarge Sue and the others assembled the team, fully equipped and ready to go. Commander Hayes checked the time. It was almost noon, yet there was no sign of Leo. Seeing this, Major Shaw couldn't help but say, should we call and ask? No need. Hayes snorted coldly. If that kid dares to be late or not show up, I'll fight him to the death. As soon as he finished speaking, a black sedan drove up from the distance and stopped steadily in front of Hayes. Leo opened the door and stepped out, holding an Inferno burrito, eating leisurely, and even greeted Hayes. Morning, Commander Hayes. Had breakfast yet? Hayes' face was dark as he articulated each word. I thought you weren't coming. Impossible. Leo chewed his burrito and said, the qualifiers are a major event concerning the face of our military district. Even if I were blocked by mountains of knives and seas of fire, I'd break through to get here. Beside him, Kane got out of the car. Hearing Leo's words, he couldn't help but facepalm. If he hadn't gone banging on the door to wake Leo up, this guy would definitely have overslept. Mountains of knives and seas of fire? You couldn't even break out of your blanket. Hayes looked behind Leo, the corner of his eye twitching. These people are all going with you. Kane, Ava, Adrian, Shane Quill, Marco, and even Akat. Meow. Hello. Reggie, held in Ava's arms, noticed Hayes' gaze and meowed a greeting. After all, he was a polite cat. Hayes had black lines running down his face. Is this a vacation? And critically, how the hell did you fit so many people in one car? Who is that blind guy crawling out of the trunk? Don't worry, Commander, don't underestimate them, Leo said confidently. At first glance, they might seem useless, but in reality, they indeed have no use. Hayes' mouth twitched. You seem to have just said something completely redundant. But Leo changed the subject. Each of them possesses special abilities unexpected by others. In critical moments, they might come in handy. Hearing this, Hayes actually got interested. Could this motley crew really have some hidden means? Leo took the opportunity to introduce everyone. This is Marco, the season's strongest support. His driving skills are legendary. The former god of Devil's Backbone, an all-rounder talent. Even I haven't unearthed 1% of his abilities. Marco smiled honestly, scratching his head and looking at everyone with a very kind expression. This is Kane, my good partner, known in the underworld as Pretty Boy Peace. MMPH. Leo was only halfway through when Kane, blushing furiously, rushed up and clamped his hand over Leo's mouth. Jesus, do you have to introduce me like that? He gritted his teeth and whispered, I'm begging you. Can you forget that nickname? Leo looked at him in confusion. He didn't care anymore. Still covering Leo's mouth, he smiled awkwardly at everyone. I'm just a sniper, that's all. Seeing this, the others were terrified Leo would give them weird introductions, so they took the chance while Leo was gagged to introduce themselves. I am Adrian. Hacker. Adrian, dressed in all black with a hood, raised his hand coolly. Shane Quill adjusted his sunglasses and postured. I am a wanderer of the world, proficient in fortune-telling and divination. I know destiny, understand good and bad omens, observe relationships, and strategize terrain. Hello, everyone. I'm Ava, Leo's wife. Ava waved with a smile. Meow. Gut. At this moment, everyone, including Hayes and Shaw, stood frozen, staring blankly at this bunch. How did such a bizarre team gather together? But looking at Leo, who was still eating his burrito on the side, everyone seemed to understand. Hayes opened his mouth to say something, but realized nothing would help. So he walked over to Shaw and patted him heavily on the shoulder. This trip, you might have to work a little harder. Hearing this, Shaw looked at Leo and sighed slightly. Commander, I'll do my best. Hayes hesitated. This was Shaw's first time leading a team to the qualifiers. And on his first time, he got stuck with a difficult character like Leo. The opening level was hell mode. But thinking about the coming days when Leo would leave North Point and be far away from the base, the corners of Hayes' mouth couldn't help but rise. All right, time's about up. Move out. Shaw checked the time and addressed the group. Everyone get in the cars. This time, we must take first place and let the other districts see our style. Yes, sir. Lieutenant Sarge Sue, Private Cloud, and the others responded in unison. Leo chewed his burrito, his gaze firm. It made Shaw feel tired just looking at him. Let's go, he ordered directly. The group got into the vehicles. A convoy of several cars drove out of the base one after another. Leading the way was the black sedan driven by Marco. Hayes watched them leave from distance and let out a long sigh of relief. Meanwhile, on a high-rise building near the military base, a man wearing a black fox mask was taking it all in through binoculars. Only after Leo and the others left the base did he slowly lower the binoculars. He kept his back to his subordinate behind him and said, Report it. Say Leo has moved out and left North Point. Let's get ready and follow them. The subordinate hesitated, then spoke up. Sir, the mission handed down from above was to monitor Leo's movements, not to leave North Point. The man frowned slightly, turning around. Monitor his movements? If I don't follow, how do I monitor? Or do you think I, the newly appointed Seven Tails, am easy to bully? I wouldn't dare. The subordinate quickly lowered his head, sweat dripping from his forehead. Seven Tails stared at him for a moment before speaking. Just this once, not as a precedent. Yes. The man finished speaking and turned to leave to carry out Seven Tails' orders. Seven Tails watched his retreating figure until he completely disappeared from sight. Only then did he slowly take a deep breath. He turned his head, looking in the direction Leo and the others had gone. Gently raising his hand, he took off the mask on his face, revealing a familiar face. This newly appointed Vulture 7. If Leo saw this face, he would certainly be surprised. Because this face belonged to none other than Harvey Gundam. This world really is impermanent, Harvey whispered softly, then gently put the mask back on and turned to leave. There are still 1 or 2 chapters, might have to wait until midnight or early morning. I'm resigned to this sleep schedule. North Point, inside Master Silas's small courtyard. Leo and the others have already left North Point. In Sterling's room, Julian Reed sat on the sofa, speaking slowly. Louis has also successfully approached Vulture 5. We can start the next step. Hearing this, Sterling let out a long breath. Don't rush yet. Sterling's brow was knit with worry. Let me think a bit more. Julian couldn't help but look at him. It was the first time he had seen Sterling like this, hesitant and indecisive. This isn't like you. Yeah, this isn't like me. Sterling smiled bitterly. If it were the old me, I wouldn't be this timid. He leaned back in his chair, looked up at the ceiling, and sighed. People like us finally don't look like we did back then. Julian, do you know what a person needs to experience to grow? Julian didn't speak. He knew Sterling would give the answer. After a long while, Sterling spoke slowly. I know now. What a person needs to experience to grow is being mangled beyond recognition. You know, whenever I see Leo and his group, it always reminds me of some times from the past. A look of reminiscence flowed in Sterling's eyes, and a faint smile appeared on his lips. Back then, we were also a bizarre team. There was a street punk, dreaming all day of being a hero, defending the country on the battlefield. In the end, he was reduced to not even daring to use his own name, spending his days living incognito, hiding everywhere. There was a doctor whose dream was to help the world and save the dying. He survived mountains of medical books and countless days and nights, only to get prejudice and discrimination from the world in return. There was a female soldier. She hoped for world peace, no more war, and then to open a flower shop to give fresh flowers to the world. In the end, she could only carry a lifetime of injustice, spat on and cursed by people. And 2 lunatics, delusional enough to want to change the world, change the way of things. In the end, one died tragically, and the other was left with only an obsession for revenge. Sterling's words sounded neither happy nor sad, but they moved Julian. The room fell into silence. Neither of them spoke again. After an unknown amount of time, Julian spoke slowly. Maybe you're right. This is the price of growth. Facing human nature, facing reality, tearing apart that innocent self from the past with your own hands. However, his tone changed. But I don't think this is a bad thing. He looked straight at Sterling. Living incognito, why can't that be heroic? Even with prejudice and discrimination, why can't one still save the world? Injustice and curses can be turned into fertilizer, making the flowers bloom even brighter. And those 2 lunatics, what they wanted to do has already succeeded. Hearing Julian's words, Sterling was clearly stunned. Then he suddenly laughed. Yeah, as long as the mindset changes, what you said is possible. It's just, how difficult is that? The world is uneven. The times are unfair. How can our hearts flourish? Finishing his words, Sterling slowly stood up. As he walked outside, he said, most of the time, most people act involuntarily, and the self cannot follow the heart. Watching Sterling leave the room, Julian let out a long sigh and continued to study the documents in his hand. After driving for several hours, Leo and the others finally arrived at the venue for the qualifiers. Whoa, it really is raw in nature. Leo and the others got out of the car and looked around. It really did have the vibe of the Crucible. Speaking of the Crucible, the grass on the graves of the Fong family members should be 2 meters high by now, right? Looking back, Leo still felt the Fong family was kind of cute. Stupid and easy to fight. Unlike the Vulture organization, so disgusting. I'll take you to the contestants' camp first, Major Shaw said. That's where you'll rest. Of course, people from other military districts will be arriving one after another. We should be considered quite early arrivals. As far as I know, in the days before the competition starts, the camp gets very lively. There are bonfires at night and stuff. Of course, there will inevitably be some small skirmishes before the matches, but they're benign. No malice, just checking out the opponent's strength beforehand. Just relax for these 2 days. Don't put too much pressure on yourselves. Shaw led the way as he spoke. Behind him, Lieutenant Sarge Sue and the others heard this and immediately looked at Leo. Pressure? What's that? Aren't we here on vacation? Sarge and the others thought very simply. With the great Demon King Leo here, who the hell could arm wrestle with them? Like always, the North Point Military District this time was going to go on a killing spree. Leo was responsible for the killing. They were responsible for the spree ing. Soon, they arrived at the camp rest area. The arrival of the North Point team attracted the attention of many people. Yo, more people arrived. Which district is this? North Point? Never heard of it. Holy crap, is it the one that forfeited last year and the whole team went on vacation? I remember that vividly. For real? That happened. You knew, right? Normal not to know. North Point pulls all kinds of stunts every year. You'll get used to it. Damn, they've got guts. They really don't take the qualifiers seriously, huh? Look at their faces. They look like they're here for a tour. Probably planning to forfeit again this time. The crowd buzzed with discussion. North Point's reputation had opened up quite a bit in the last 2 years thanks to David and Carol. Even first-time participants had heard of those glorious deeds. This made Major Shaw, the team leader, look a bit awkward. Only now did he vaguely sense something was wrong. No wonder Colonel Stone and General Evans didn't lead the team. Turns out they were afraid of this. But he was the only one embarrassed. The group behind him held their heads high, without a hint of shame. Sarge and the others had followed Carol Evans for so many years. Their skin was already as thick as a city wall. As for Leo and his crew, that went without saying. Hey, North Point, what excuse are you using to forfeit this time? Suddenly, someone shouted loudly. The booming voice immediately attracted their attention. Shaw frowned, turned around, and said, "Don't cause trouble. Let's go register first." Where's Leo? Major, Captain Leo is over there. Sarge pointed awkwardly not far away. Leo had already started arguing with the people who were whispering about them. The two sides looked ready to curse each other out in the street. You, step out. Yes, you. Were you talking trash about us just now? Leo stood with hands on his hips, Reggie perched on his head, pointing loudly at someone in the crowd. However, the people here were all from military backgrounds. Naturally, they dared to own what they did. So, quite a few people stepped forward immediately, indicating, "Yeah, we cursed you." So what? Did we say something wrong? Isn't North Point the district that forfeits every year? Exactly. I still remember to this day. The two people who led the team those 2 years were named David and Carol. They were a couple. Truly opened my eyes. Can't believe such people exist. Right? They're simply a disgrace to the military districts. If they dare to do it, what don't we dare to say? Hearing this, Leo looked at the crowd, his voice low and solemn. Do you know that the two people you are cursing are my parents? At these words, everyone froze. They hadn't expected the guy in front of them to be the son of that couple. Seeing the situation, Major Shaw immediately thought, not good. If Leo got angry here, it would be hard to clean up the mess. The person who had spoken sarcastically just now also grew serious. The atmosphere had reached this point. They were probably going to fight. Fight then. Who's afraid of who? Then, they heard Leo articulate clearly. Listen well, everyone. My name is Leo Evans. David and Carol are my parents. You people, remember this. Leo scanned the crowd, then shouted. Since you curse my parents, you are not allowed to curse me anymore, understand? Crowd. Shaw, Sarge, and the others. Ava and the group face-palmed, wearing expressions that said I knew it. The surrounding crowd was dumbfounded. What kind of person is this? That's too abstract, isn't it? Where the hell does North Point find these talents? Leo's words left the crowd, who had been ready for a fight, unsure of what to do. Fight? How to fight now? Curse? How to curse now? Kane couldn't help but sigh. In front of Leo, this bunch is like a group of fresh recruits. When it came to being abstract, Leo was absolutely grandmaster level. Shaw felt even more embarrassed now. He quickly lowered his head, went up, and grabbed Leo. Hey, what are you doing? I plan to chat with him a bit longer. Captain Leo, I'm begging you, let's go. Shaw pleaded almost pitifully. Let's register first, okay? Clearly, he was the leader and even a superior officer. But order Leo? Don't joke around. Even General George showing up wouldn't work. The group walked toward the registration desk just like that, leaving a crowd standing dumbfounded in the wind. They stared at Leo's retreating group. Someone murmured, Is this what they mean by the student surpassing the master? This guy feels even more ridiculous than his parents. At these words, everyone nodded in agreement. On the other side, Ava couldn't help pinching Leo's waist. Can you stop being so embarrassing? Ava whispered. Easy there. Leo sucked in a cold breath. What do you know? In novels, this is called playing the pig to eat the tiger. Wait until I reveal my strength later and shock them all. Get it? Ava was speechless. Where do you learn this nonsense? Read fewer of those power fantasy novels. Your brain will rot, and then I won't want you anymore. The group bantered noisily all the way, not taking the earlier incident to heart at all. After all, what people said was true. They really did forfeit to go play. If you dare to do it, you dare to own it. Besides, getting cursed, it didn't make them lose a piece of meat. Furthermore, once the competition actually started, they could just have a real fight with real weapons. Why get angry now? Soon, everyone arrived at the registration desk. Please wait, let me check. North Point Military District. The person in charge of registration couldn't help but glance at Leo. Such a young captain. My grandfather is a general. Leo dropped the line directly. It completely threw the registrar off. He couldn't help looking at Major Shaw, his eyes full of deep shock. Does North Point abuse connections this badly? Shaw covered his face, feeling a headache coming on. They had just arrived, and he already felt like he couldn't hold on. He couldn't help but recall what Commander Hayes said to him before departure. The more he thought about it, the more wrong it felt. Commander, this isn't clearing my mind. Shaw thought bitterly. This is clearly a trial by fire. After everyone registered, the person in charge took them to their assigned rooms. Since Ava and the others weren't North Point personnel, they had to pay for their rooms. Fortunately, the price was reasonable, and Ava paid generously. We've cleaned everyone's rooms. If you need anything, you can tell the service staff, the person in charge said. By the way, there will be bonfires and some small activities in the evenings these next few days. If you're interested, you can participate. What small activities? Ava asked curiously. She had never been to this kind of bonfire party and thought it sounded interesting. Like drinking contests or arm wrestling. Of course, some people place small bets between themselves. That's all permitted. These 2 days are just for everyone to relax properly. Hearing this, Sarge and the others' eyes lit up. They remembered it wasn't this lenient in the past. It seemed the higher-ups were loosening up. Well then, I wish you all a pleasant stay. The person in charge finished speaking and walked away briskly. Knock, knock, knock. Come in. The door pushed open, and the person in charge walked up to the man sitting in the chair. Chief Examiner Wu, the North Point team has arrived. Sergeant, Mad Dog, Wu paused his hand movements. He looked up at the registrar and asked, "Who is leading the team?" "It's an officer named Major Shaw, and the team captain's name is Leo Evans." Leo Evans. Wu's eyes flickered, recalling that figure at the airport. Sure enough, it's him. Wu smiled slightly. Looks like this year's qualifiers will be much more interesting than previous years. The registrar heard this and didn't understand what it meant, but he knew that the chief examiner in front of him seemed very interested in the North Point team, especially that young man named Leo. As evening approached, the camp began to get noisy. Perhaps the days at the military base were usually too dull and boring, so now everyone was enjoying this rare relaxation time. Firelight flickered, making their shadows dance on the ground. The crackling of burning wood from the bonfires mixed with the surrounding noise. Damn, is it this lively? Leo and the others saw the scene and were somewhat surprised. They were clearly here for the qualifiers, so why did it feel more and more like a vacation? The group found the open space with tents belonging to North Point and began to blend in. Cheers! Leo and the others ate barbecue and clinked glasses happily. Just then, Leo's ears twitched slightly. He seemed to hear a familiar voice. Let me tell you, with Captain Xie here, our Violet Creek district will definitely take first place this time. For sure. Captain Xie's throwing knives are legendary and impossible to guard against. Who can compete? Our Violet Creek takes second to last every year. If it weren't for North Point giving us a cushion at the bottom, I'd be too embarrassed to compete. What are you afraid of? This year we'll climb directly from second to last to first place and scare them to death. Hearing these words, Leo's hand paused, and he raised an eyebrow. Last name Xie, plays with throwing knives? No way. Leo turned his head to look and happened to lock eyes with someone from the Violet Creek district across the way. Both froze. Then, coincidentally, they stood up at the same time. Why the hell are you here? Why the hell are you here? Leo and Ethan Xie spoke in unison. Ava and the others followed the sound. Seeing Ethan Xie, everyone was stunned too. Wasn't this guy supposed to have gone back to his hometown with Lucia Shang? How did he become the captain of Violet Creek District? Seeing this, the people from Violet Creek asked Ethan, Captain Xie, these people, you know them? It looks like the people across from us are from North Point. Ava, you're here too. Beside Ethan, Lucia Shang stood up with a surprised face and ran excitedly toward Ava. During their time in NYC, the two had become sisters who told each other everything. Lucia, why are you here? Ava asked happily. Didn't you say you were going back to your hometown for an emergency? Lucia immediately began to explain to Ava. It turned out that the emergency Lucia mentioned was the qualifiers. Violet Creek District had ranked second to last for several years in a row. This time, having no other choice, they chose to call in reinforcements. Coincidentally, One of Lucia's relatives was an officer in Violet Creek. So, Ethan naturally followed Lucia to lead this year's Violet Creek team in the qualifiers. Your relative is an officer too? Leo couldn't help but mock Ethan. So you're Nepo, baby? Ethan had black lines on his face. Like you want to talk. He knew Leo's grandfather was a general. Anyone could figure out with their toes how Leo got this captain position. Hey, I'm different from you. Leo waved his hand. Our commander personally came to invite me to be captain. Although the two bickered upon meeting, since both captains knew each other, the people from the two districts naturally sat together and started drinking. There was even a vague sense of competing in alcohol tolerance. Can you drink or not? Raising fish in there. You kidding? I'm from Violet Creek. You can say I'm bad at anything else, but you can't say I can't drink. Can Violet Creek people outdrink us North Point folks? We're all men. Stop wasting breath. Just drink. Drink then. Who's afraid? Sarge, bring the booze. Private Cloud, have I been too nice to you? You dare tell me to move booze now. As the people from the two districts got familiar, under the influence of alcohol, emotions ran high. So much so that they attracted the attention of many people. What's the situation over there? Two districts fighting. Who did I think it was? Isn't that North Point and Violet Creek? The eternal last and second to last. Ha ha, it really is. Drinking louder than anyone, but mute when the competition starts. Is this the mutual appreciation of the dead last? Keep it down, they'll come for trouble in a bit. So what? You scared of last and second last? What are you even here for? Go home early. These people's voices were certainly not quiet. Leo and the others could naturally hear them clearly. Leo exchanged a glance with Ethan, silently put down the glass in his hand, and stood up at the same time. What are you two doing? Lucia looked at the pair, having a bad premonition in her heart. Don't cause trouble here. Don't worry. No trouble, Ethan said lightly. Right, we never cause trouble, Leo said similarly. With that, the two walked toward the tent where the speaking person was. That was the Fort City District tent. In past competitions, they often broke into the top 10. Their strength was not to be underestimated. Fort City's captain, Bill Zane, saw Leo and Ethan walking toward him and frowned slightly. Gentlemen, is there a problem? I heard Fort City has outstanding talent and powerful strength. We want to learn a thing or two, Leo smiled. Just a simple spar, add a little stakes, how about it? Spa, stakes. Bill Zane looked carefully at these two and hesitated slightly. What stake do you want? If your Fort City loses, let those people who were talking just now apologize to us. Also, during the individual matches of the qualifiers, if you meet people from our two teams, surrender immediately. Bill was stunned and frowned. And if you lose, then we admit that our two districts are inferior to yours. Bill's mouth twitched. That's it? I'd be crazy to fight you. Leo spread his hands. Dignified Fort City wouldn't be afraid of us last and second last, right? You were shouting so fiercely just now. I thought you were tough. Is this it? Forget it, Ethan. Let's go back and drink. Boring. Even afraid to fight the last and second to last. I really suspect there's a black market for your past records. Hearing this, the people from Fort City were instantly enraged. This was obvious goading, but worked very well. Stop. Bill stood up, articulating each word. I insist on teaching you a lesson. Hearing this, Leo and Ethan looked at the other, eyes flashing with cunning. Hooked. But this wasn't enough. Their goal wasn't just Fort City. Hey, look, looks like a fight started over there. You don't know? The captains of North Point and Violet Creek are looking to spar with Bill Zane from Fort City. Heard there are bets too. If Bill loses, he not only has to apologize, but in the individual matches, he has to surrender. Betting that big, Bill accepted even this. Scared of what? You scared of North Point and Violet Creek? Why are you even here? Go home early. That's true. Everyone was attracted by the commotion. Since people often sparred in previous years, the camp had several open spaces specifically cleared for them to fuss in. Ava and the others were among the onlookers. She exchanged a glance with Lucia, and they sighed simultaneously. They agreed not to cause trouble. Yet these two, getting together meant nothing good. You two, who goes first? Bill Zane stared at the pair with burning eyes, his tone arrogant. If you go together, I'll take that too. That won't do. Our skin isn't that thick, Leo said, then exchanged a look with Ethan, raising an eyebrow. You first? Okay, I'll go first. Ethan agreed and strode forward. Without too much nonsense, the two soon started grappling. Although the fight was intense, anyone with eyes could see that Ethan was constantly being suppressed by Bill. He had no power to fight back, completely just holding on. Sure enough, nothing to see. Exactly, the result is obvious. Bill wins completely. Last place is last place. With this skill, I could pick anyone from my team to beat him. Looks like Violet Creek is last again this time. The crowd discussed spiritedly, but only Lucia and the others noticed something wrong. Ethan wasn't using full strength at all. Or rather, this guy was totally acting. I give up. A few minutes later, Ethan yelled with an expression of being unable to hold on. Our Violet Creek is inferior to your Fort City. I concede. Seeing this, Bill stopped his hand, looking at Ethan coldly. Next time, weigh your own strength before finding fault. Ethan looked aggrieved, turning back to look at Leo. I'm not his opponent. It's up to you. Leo looked solemn. I'll do my best. Bill smiled disdainfully. He had beaten the second to last like this. Would he be afraid of this last place guy? A few minutes later, I give up. Our North Point is also inferior to your Fort City. Leo shouted. Kane and the others had weird expressions, all feeling something was very wrong. These two acting like this.